Cannes Film Festival's going on.
That too. Neither of us are there.
And with that, welcome to episode 21 of Plot to Go. My name is Jack.
My name's Owen.
And today we will be discussing The Weeknd's new movie, Hurry Up Tomorrow.
I heard me say my own name.
Uh-huh.
People don't understand my name when I say it.
Why?
I think it's my pronunciation is maybe like how low my voice is when I speak sometimes. Like people like I'll go to order coffee, they'll be like, can I get a name for that? Owen. What was that? Owen. Like I have to
Really?
Yeah, I really have to try.
Have you had anybody say to you because of this that they don't understand your name?
No.
Okay,
They just need to get better.
You want to spell it phonetically?
My name is Owen.
Nice. I think that's a common name, though.
Yeah, but I must be the way that I say words.
Oh. Poor you for having a podcast.
Yep.
I think you sound fine.
Sorry. As well as Hurry Up Tomorrow, we're doing Doctor Who and Andor.
Yeah, our classics.
Yeah.
Doctor Who is nearing its end, and I'm very grateful to not... Actually, I've enjoyed the conversations, even if I've not particularly enjoyed the show.
Uh-huh.
And Andor was finished. I was so sad about that.
Yeah, that is sad.
I think the reason our episodes have been longer the last few weeks have been because half of the conversation is just Andor.
Yeah.
So...
I feel like I have the least to say about the finale as well.
Same. But I think it also kind of, as a show, we'll talk about it as a show.
Yeah, sure.
Nah. Or, okay. No, I guess we won't. We're going to start off, though, talking about Hurry Up Tomorrow, which is The Weeknd's new movie by Trey Edward Schultz, who is more of a newcomer, I would say, as a director. He directed quite a big movie called Waves.
Mm-hmm. You seen it?
I haven't, actually. It's one that's been sitting on my watch list for ages. And prior to that, he directed an indie horror, I think, called It Comes at Night, that got a lot of good buzz. Both of them had good buzz. So seeing him attached to this, I think, was quite exciting for people, along with the cast. So The Weeknd is playing himself in this movie, but he's joined by Jenna Ortega and Barry Keoghan. So I think people were intrigued based on that.
Mm-hmm.
If you have it, again, I'll just say we don't spoil movies, so we won't spoil this. We'll kind of talk around spoilers. This movie is very, there's a lack of plot to it. It's very surreal.
Mm-hmm.
So to give you a plot summary, I think is kind of difficult because the plot is so thin, but it follows a musician, The Weeknd, who's struggling with heartbreak and guilt and that kind of stuff, and he loses his voice.
Spoilers.
That happened to him. And as Letterboxd puts it, he is pulled into an odyssey with a stranger who begins to unravel the very core of his existence.
An odyssey.
An odyssey. That's what they've been calling this. An odyssey.
Interesting.
Yeah. I was going to say, before we dive into the film, what's your history with The Weeknd? Prior to this?
I listened to some of his music,
How are you
not all of it.
You friends with him still?
Yeah. No, well, you know.
Oh, Rocky.
Different person now. So.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I think I've listened to Hurry Up Tomorrow.
The album.
The album. And what was before Dawn FM?
After Hours.
After Hours. I've heard songs off of Dawn FM. I don't think I've listened to the full thing.
Oh, good album.
And then the music before then, I wasn't paying much attention, but I've obviously heard Starboy and stuff like that. So it's just an artist that is just there for me, and I've listened to a bunch of his music, but I'm not ingrained in the culture. I don't know anything about the celebrity's life.
It's maybe a red flag to be ingrained in the culture.
I feel like a lot of musicians, a lot about their lives and their history and music and things like that.
Yeah, I don't know why. It's not like I'm actively consuming a lot of that, but I guess I am subconsciously.
Yeah. I mean, when Brat was coming out, you were like, here's all of the history with Brat.
Well, yeah. Well,
I
yes.
vividly remember like doing the dishes and having you be like,
Oh,
let me tell you
I
about
actually
the
remember
campaign.
Yeah, because that was such a cool marketing campaign. I wonder if I get more into artists because of that, because of like the marketing cycle behind them and how, like, especially with bigger artists like this. Sometimes, I mean, it is about the music, but sometimes it's not. It's about the whole package of artistry. I think Charlie XCX has spoken about this. Like, you could have an amazing voice and like, you know, a great talent, but unless you can package that in the way that like people want to consume it, sadly, it doesn't necessarily take off. I think that can be said for a lot of art nowadays. I just find that interesting, I guess.
I mean, there just is a lot of art.
Yeah.
Like people have the opportunity to put so much out there.
Yeah.
And it means that there's a lot of shit and there's a lot of good stuff that is just like diamonds in the rough. So getting found is quite difficult.
Yeah. This is a man who doesn't need to be found. This man is huge. I had been a fan of his like trilogy of albums that wrapped up with Hurry Up Tomorrow. I mean, I'm a fan of his music. When we were in Spain last year, me and our friend Aaron, shout out, we like binged through all his albums and stuff. So I would say I'm a fan. I wouldn't say I'm like a stan of his, but I know enough about him and I enjoy a lot of his music. And I really enjoy what he was doing with the trilogy of albums. I spoke to you a little bit about this, but like After Hours being like Death, Dawn FM being like this Purgatory, and this album being Rebirth. So with that kind of like knowledge, I guess going into this, I was expecting a movie to deal with his persona and then those three kind of like themes. And to a certain extent it does.
Does it do it well?
Well, I don't know. Because
Without getting into the movie.
yeah, I don't want to spoil anything. To me, this movie is an interesting mess. Because and a mess writing wise. I actually think for the large part filmmaking, it's really interesting. I genuinely believe that this is one of the more gorgeously lit films I've seen in a cinema recently. Yeah. I don't know how they did it. The like everything is red and cyan. Like even down to like car lights. It's like they were split and filtered to then only be red and cyan.
Right. I did have issues with the lighting.
Really?
For that reason.
Oh.
Where it feels I don't know how to explain it, like there's like a level of like modernness to just have like for something to just have lighting like that.
Sure.
And for it to be like cool or whatever.
Neon-y.
Yeah, neon-y. Which does work in this film.
Yeah.
I think because it's like The Weeknd and it is a pop star, and like for those reasons, like you kind of associate those images, especially like in concert or whatever. I'm thinking of some scenes that are like kind of yellowy lit that look very nice, like a golden kind of light. The red and cyan I can't comment on because I can't remember that off the top of my head. There is a scene where it's like white and red that really bothered me. It's like one of Jenna Ortega's first scenes, and you have like the white light of like a gas station shop, and then next to that is a wall that has like red lighting coming out from the roof. And I was kind of just sitting there looking at it being like, that doesn't look like that in real life. That red light is probably not there. And you could see it in camera as like this red strip along like a brick wall underneath a roof. And that just kind of bothered me because I was like, that's not real. Like that's there to make the movie like look cooler. I don't know how much that could be taken as like a true criticism, but that just bothered me. I thought it was unnecessary.
Yeah, the whole movie I feel like is like that though. Like the lighting is not real. Even in scenes where it's like club scenes or concert scenes, lights don't pulse in the way that the lighting was pulsing. So like
I've been in clubs that have looked like that.
What clubs have you been going to?
Zante.
Oh.
I can remember the like the white flashing lights sort of thing.
No, that obviously.
Right.
I mean more like characters' faces. We'd have deep red on them. that then changed to like cyan or white.
Sorry,
or something.
that stuff didn't bother me because I felt like that was trying to like convey things.
Okay.
With those characters.
Yeah.
That specific scene with the car, the white and the red, did bother me.
But like different things like car lights, them being like split and filled, like that doesn't happen in real life. I think it was all just to create a vibe. But I understand why it would take you out.
Yeah.
Because I weirdly think it wasn't as surreal as I was expecting it to be.
Me either.
It very much plays it like safe. I think there are metaphors and symbolism as people, and that's the surreal aspect. But I don't think that comes through in the movie until like last 20 minutes maybe. Otherwise, everything around him feels real, and then the characters end up feeling like movie characters. So like, is it a spoiler to say how I view Jenna and Barry?
I think so, because essentially I didn't understand what those characters were supposed to represent by the end of the film.
Okay.
And you had to explain that, and I was like, I did not. That's not the takeaway that I had, and I have questions about that interpretation of those characters that I want to talk to you about.
We could maybe do a slight spoilery bit at the end of this.
I think we will do some spoiler stuff for this.
Okay,
film,
cool.
I would imagine. Yeah.
Cool. Right, that's fine. Then I'll get to that. But those characters, I think, are representations of something. And then that ends up pulling you out because the film plays it so like straight, and those characters aren't like real people. So like there's just a like dissonance between them being not real, like fictional manifestations of something, but him also like existing in the real world, that I think just didn't work at all. Yeah, sorry, but the surreal, it doesn't really get surreal until like...
It's bizarre that when it gets to that point, because you're right, the film does take itself so seriously.
Yeah.
Especially like the first like half an hour or something. So like you get to that point and it feels too late for the film to shift into that.
Yeah.
So you're just kind of like, what's happening now?
Well, I wonder, so you, up until that point, were you viewing Jenna and Barry as people?
Yeah.
I also, by the way, my read on this movie might be completely wrong. So maybe they are real people.
I mean, they can be both.
They could, yeah, sure.
Because well, I mean, I finished the film still thinking they were real people.
Okay.
Confused by like how it ends.
Yeah.
Because that brings into question like what actually happened, like what's going on here. It's a really strange film.
Yeah.
Within like the last third.
Yeah, it dives into and the surreal stuff. I think is very like film student surrealism, where it's like, what does this represent? And it's, to me, it was painfully obvious what stuff was representing.
I feel bad because before we even got to that stuff, had the word films or the phrase film student in my head when we were watching it, with some of the shots, because you're right, the film's like beautifully lit, regardless of whether the lighting was necessary or not. Like it's hard to argue, like the way that they did it, like technically it looks very nice.
Yes.
And like you said, shot really well, but then the decisions in some of the shots were kind of insane. So you came out the film, one of the first things you said, which is one of the top things on my mind, is why does it spin so much?
Yeah.
I think I counted there's 3 shots.
There's no way it's only 3. There's no way it's only 3.
3 that bothered me at least, where the camera is just in like the center of a room or whatever, and it spins outwardly. Sorry, there's camera spins on things that are in the center and it spins around them.
Yes.
But the outward spins, I counted 3, I don't know if there's more than that, where like there's the camera setting in the middle of a room and it'll spin around like 360 over and over and over again at high speeds to like disorientate the viewer.
Honestly, so it only really happens in the first half, and I think it very much is, as you kind of say, film student.
That's what I was
being like,
from it.
Oh, his life is so disorientating, so the camera spins.
Yeah.
Oh, and like you can't just keep spinning a camera because it's not fun to watch.
The worst one for me, like the most egregious one, isn't isn't the one that you'd probably think is more film student-y. Like you'd imagine like that one was, but it's the one where we get like an aerial shot, and then it decides to like zoom down in on a car, but it's like all like turning over itself and like getting all like warped by the time that it's fully zoomed into the car, and then you just cut to inside the car, and it's like like everything else is like normal again.
Yeah.
Like why was that? Why was this establishing shot necessary and also like had to be kind of insane?
Yeah. It feels like we're quirky to be quirky because quirky. Like, I have seen The Idol, the Weeknd's previous, whatever the fuck that was, which is insane actually thinking back on it, that I saw that and I still went into this being like, I'm really looking forward to this. But I think the reason was because it's more attached to his music, and I expected to be there like a level of artistry there that wasn't in the show. Anyway, the show is gorgeous. It gets slated on, and I think nobody's really saying anything positive about that show because it is an absolute mess, and the way it treats women is really quite not good at all. But it's gorgeously shot. It's shot, I think, by the same person who shot Euphoria.
Right.
So like everything is pretty. The angles are really pretty, but like why? It's the same sort of thing here. Like it does look very pretty a lot of the time. Do you need to constantly spin to like tell somebody that it's disorientating?
That's one of the I think the points that people like. I've watched a bunch of like behind the scenes stuff with Corridor Digital, and when they're talking about their VFX shots, they're talking about like what does it convey?
Yeah,
and like that's the same thing with like how you choose to light and shoot things. Like it can be lovely like as a still that someone could throw in a TikTok edit. But like, what's it conveying in the film? And then, sure, like showing spinning stuff is like disorienting. But like, is it necessary to do it 3 times?
Yeah, or to have the. I mean, there is a part of me that's like, it is interesting that the entire film is a lot of like long takes, long like swirling long takes and stuff.
I appreciate some of the longer takes in this film.
They're interesting,
especially at the beginning.
But I don't know if like the spinning stuff then takes away from that, because you do get like sort of enamored by this like swirling, like he's being dragged in all these different directions and stuff with these like long takes that do spin, but they're like a slower spin. Then these like rapid. I think it maybe takes away from like how well shot the other parts of the movies is. I don't know. I also think with the lighting, just what you saying, like surface level reads and stuff, the lighting is really, really lovely, but also might be a victim of that as well. Like
the surface level stuff,
the red and the blue, and the pulling of two sides.
I mean, literally. Have you seen the poster?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So.
Ooh, the poster kind of works into my theory as well.
Or is it the opposite?
The opposite. Interesting.
We'll get into that.
We will. Performances. What do you think?
It's funny. You were talking about The Weeknd having a bad performance. I never thought he had a bad performance.
I don't think he did either.
I was happy with everyone's performance. I think honestly the one that I like the least is Barry Keoghan. Jenna's I would say is pretty good. It gets into the campy ridiculous side of things, which I think works. Because I think they were referencing American Psycho towards the end of the film at one point with like her dialogue, and that's fine and all. I don't think it necessarily works when something is a pale comparison to that other thing. So like I'm all good on references. I like references, but maybe doing that when it isn't as good as that other thing, it can not be the best, because then you think about that other thing and how good it is, and the current thing you're watching, and it maybe sometimes takes you out of it, and you're like, oh, that's what a film is, and this is interesting.
Yeah.
And I really like The Weeknd in this. I was actually somewhat impressed because I don't know how difficult it is to act or whatever, but like for someone being a musician to come in and then do an acting performance and actually manage to pull it off pretty well, I reckon it's probably difficult. I don't know how much acting training he has, but I felt satisfied with the performance that he gave.
I also agree. I think the reason you're saying that I thought his performance was bad is because me and our friend Samuel walked out of the screening, and the first sort of thing that we were saying was the scene that will go viral on TikTok. He is categorically bad in a scene, and I think people are gonna run with that and just say that his performance is shit all over.
Okay.
It's not a good scene.
I don't think either of them are good in that scene, actually.
One of them is a standout bad.
I didn't think.
I actually, in a weird way, I like it though, because it is like whiny, like crybaby. Like he is showing like bad sides of himself. I just think the delivery is very bad.
Yeah.
I think for the most part though, I think it's interesting. Like, it's better than his performance in The Idol. And I think he goes to places which are interesting for him because he's commentating on himself and commentating on not the nicer sides of him, like the more abrasive, like rougher sides to him. So actually to go access that as a person, I think it's interesting. I do think he's still not great though. Like, for instance, very early on in the movie, he's at a concert performing. It feels like he's just performing on a stage. There's no, like, I'm not reading what his character is trying to convey at that point, and it's like a 4-minute song. It's like you should be able to convey a little bit more. I just felt in certain scenes he felt like The Weeknd. Like there was nothing. It wasn't the character he was playing.
I like those concert scenes.
Really?
Yeah. Because I think in the first one, I don't think the first one did much for me until we saw the second one. Because it was supposed to be a comparison.
I don't think
between
they were all that different though.
They were very different. Because the first one is, I don't have much of a spoiler to talk about how his performances are on stage.
Yeah.
But the first one he's quite stunted, and there's not a lot going on, and in context of what comes after, it's obviously because he's got things going on inside his head. By the time you get to the second one, and the circumstances before that influence his performance on stage, and he has far more energy whilst he's on stage. And there's actually a performance given, not in terms of the acting, but in terms of like how a pop star would go out and actually perform on stage.
Oh, I didn't feel like that at all.
And then things happen, obviously.
Interesting. Yeah, I not a standout. Not like he is firmly the lead in this movie. Not somebody that I'm going like, that was an incredible performance. Like, I think for this type of movie, you need somebody that's like, that blew me away. And sadly he doesn't. But I don't think he's bad. I think it was like serviceable. But again, when like a near 2-hour long movie hinges on him, I think, and he is trying to access like quite complicated emotions. I think you need to bring a little more. I don't know.
I think it was a quieter movie, so I'm happy with. I think he did like a good job.
Fair. I agree. I think Barry Keoghan is probably the worst. I just thought he was fine. He felt very much like Barry Keoghan.
It's weird. He's very like over the top.
Yeah.
But then his character is over the top.
Yeah.
So I couldn't ever gauge in a completely different way with Jenna Ortega's character, where I was like, now she's the over the top version of that character that she's already playing. I was gonna say there's a gradient into it. There's not. There's interesting stuff with like the reason that she becomes like two different people at points.
Yeah.
But Barry Keoghan's always on that like heightened whatever fucking plane he's on, and so I could never gauge with like, are you supposed to be acting like that, or is that wrong?
Yeah.
I can never figure that out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wasn't enthused about what he did. That he's the one that I'm more just like, I'm satisfied with.
Okay.
More
I feel
impressed with
similarly as well.
Yeah.
But then obviously you like The Weeknd slightly more. Jenna Ortega. I actually wanted to double check this. I haven't checked this. I really, really like her. Like
in general.
In general.
Yeah, me too.
I think I'm not in the space where like I know a lot about her personal life or like her as a human. She's not one of those actors that I've like seen a lot of interviews or anything. Just whenever I've seen her in something, I really, really like her.
Yeah, I think she just likes the work and puts the effort in.
But
like every time. like whatever she comes to, regardless of the project and how good or bad it is, she does the work.
Right. I don't think I've seen her in a good project. This is what I was thinking. I'm like, it's really impressive for me to have as high of an opinion of you as I do, and I'm yet to see you in anything that I think is good.
I'm gonna call you out on this.
Whoa, okay.
Nothing that you think is good.
Iron Man 3?
She's in Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
Jenna Ortega's in Iron Man 3.
Yeah, she's Vice President's daughter.
Holy fuck.
Yeah.
Beetlejuice.
I don't think that movie is great. I think that movie's fine.
Yeah.
But this is what I mean. Like, for me to be like, oh, I really like Jenna Ortega.
She's in nothing that's like, that's art.
Yeah, like, sorry, that's her movie. Now, I will preface this by saying I have not seen X, which apparently she's great in. Mm-hmm. And I also haven't seen the Scream movies, the later ones, which apparently she's good in them as well. But like everything else that I've seen her in, I'm like, pfft. And also she has chosen some she needs a new agent, like dog shit projects. I'm also of the opinion, I could go on a rant on this and I'll cut myself so I don't cut myself off. Jesus.
Oh my
god.
This is a horror movie.
Wednesday, I think, is horrible as a TV show. Like, genuinely awful. But I think she's good in it.
Cool.
Yeah, so similar here. I'm like, you're giving a great performance. God, it'd be so interesting to see what you do with like really good writing. So I felt bad for her, but I will say, like, I was most intrigued by her character in this movie.
Yeah, they definitely set her up that way, and I already felt like she was doing a lot in the first couple of seconds that we saw her.
Yeah.
You see her get in a car at some point, and I was already like, oh, you're giving like an actual performance here. Mm-hmm. And then we'd cut back to the Weeknd, and he was doing his thing.
Yeah.
But it was never quite. They are quite on the same point. Like,
yeah, she feels like on a different level of act, and there are scenes that she really tries in, and I think were it in the hands of someone lesser, it really wouldn't have worked. It only just slightly didn't work with her.
Right.
Do you have anything else to say non-spoilery?
No, I want to talk about spoilers.
I think I do as well. Yeah, as always. Oh no, I literally very quickly. Score, great score.
Mm-hmm. A lot of the Weeknd music.
A lot of the Weeknd music, but actually like interpolations of his music and like a lot of the backings to his songs that I thought were utilized. If you are a fan of the Weeknd, I think you'll notice some songs and be like, oh, that's interesting that that's playing here, like what that song's trying to say and what the movie's trying to say. And there's like sound design, I think, especially when it gets like more surreal. I think it was really cool. And there is a score here that's weaved in between those Weeknd tracks that I also think's great.
Yeah. But, part of the non-spoiler review, maybe would you recommend to go see this film?
Oh, no.
Yeah, me either. Yeah.
I actually wouldn't recommend it in the cinema, and I wouldn't recommend it at all.
That's strong.
If you go watch it or also don't care about spoilers, continue listening into the spoiler thing, because a lot of my problems will be revealed in that.
Yeah, prepare yourself for a 45-minute rant.
No. I just think there are other movies that have explored this idea.
This
better.
is the spoiler bit.
No, not spoiler.
Right.
Still recommend.
I was wondering if you were just
No. There's other movies that have done it better, and I think there's a lot of interesting pop star short films that have even explored this better. So
none of which I've seen. So I'm probably going to go watch the ones that you recommend.
Yeah, I actually kind of what you were saying at the start.
Fuck, just recommend some now.
I've seen a lot of like
top 3
pops. You can't put me on the spot like that. Number 1, I would say
Beyonce.
No. Actually, no. I'm gonna, because a lot of yeah, okay. Number 1, I would say Beyonce's Lemonade. That entire album.
Sorry. Actually, no. And then she came from not being in top 3 to number 1.
Oh no, she was always going to be there. But Beyonce's Lemonade is I mean, it's a masterpiece of an album anyway, and like I feel like if you ask any music person, they'll tell you that. But the visual album that accompanies it is really interesting. Off the top of my head, I think it's 10 parts that you go through when she was going through like a divorce. So like grief and anger and like pain and suffering, it all kind of flows like that through different chapters, through the different songs. It's a really tight piece of filmmaking. Really enjoy it. I'd recommend Janelle Monáe's Dirty Computer, which is, again, just... Do you know what's really annoying as well? A lot of these have like really good albums attached to it. I would say Hurry Up Tomorrow's a pretty good album. I think it's a little overstuffed, but it's a pretty good album, and it's just a shame that this thing accompanying it isn't like even the quality of that album. But Dirty Computer, great album. The visual album that accompanies that is Janelle Monáe, who's a great actress as well. I think Beyonce's a pretty good actress as well, so that helps. It is her and Tessa Thompson, who is more like a narrative about how much do I want to say, like
No spoilers.
Androids and humans and love, and that being kind of a metaphor for like queer things.
Tessa Thompson's Westworld.
Yes.
Also some android humans in love.
Android human love queer, yeah, basically the same thing. Damn.
Starting to finish that show.
Don't out yourself over it. God. Now you say if you'd recommend this, and I will get back to you on
if I'd recommend this film.
Yeah, what?
No, I
other
straight
artists?
away was like I wouldn't recommend.
Even.
Oh,
would
sorry.
you recommend seeing it?
If this is on Netflix or something, sure.
Still would
give it a wee. Well, I'm not. Unless something's really bad, I'm not going to turn someone away from it.
Okay.
Like waste your own time, you know. Like it's whatever. You could have it on in the background. You know, like.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you're going to lose anything by watching it, except time.
Yeah. Oh God. And you'll be like, "Hurry up tomorrow." Am I right?
Yeah. Tell me about it. Bring me back to before.
I hate that you put me on the spot by saying.
Was there not a good Billie Eilish one that you liked?
Oh, but that's a documentary.
Oh, I would have like
I'll recommend that. There's Billie Eilish had a doc. This blew me. I was not expecting this to be good. I stuck this on Apple TV Plus and was like, oh yeah, whatever. It's called The World's a Little Blurry. She had a documentary filmmaker follow her since she was like a kid. I think she put out Ocean Eyes when she was 13 or 14. The documentary filmmaker was with her like from then.
That's insane.
Which is mental. But it is kind of journeying. She was like I don't want to say troubled, but can't think of a better word. Like, had a lot going on in her brain as a kid, and getting to see her like evolve and channel that into music, especially her first album, which is really dark for. You would say it's really dark for a kid, but I think we're like the same age as her.
I think she's like,
or I'm the same age as her.
I think she's still younger than you by a year or two.
Is she?
I think so.
Shall I check? Please don't. I don't actually want to know this now. If she is,
she's very, very successful for a young
she's
person.
Same age as me. That makes me. Oh, I feel so much better now. Yeah, she. Yeah, I think you would say that album's dark, but I actually think being a kid at this time, growing up in this time, those like darker thoughts actually come in a lot earlier for people. People maybe feel quite.
They're quite common for teenagers.
Dark about the world, but like more so now. Like there's no like.
Well, yeah, because there's just this constant feeling of impending doom all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like people could probably attach their own thoughts and feelings about the world to a lot of her music and thoughts that she was having.
So, yeah, I would highly recommend that. It's got other stuff going on. It's just a really interesting documentary. So, spoilers. Awesome. There'll be timestamps, so you can skip this.
Spoilers.
If you're not going to watch the movie, please listen to this, though, because, like... some of the stuff in this movie, man.
Do you want to explain?
Do you want me to do that first?
Right. Yeah, what your whole interpretation of
my read on the movie. Again, I am not by no means saying that this is right.
Well, good, because I don't think there's a right interpretation to films that
so true
explore like a lot of different ideas and themes and things. There is no correct interpretation of a film.
Yep.
With that said,
my correct interpretation of the film. Jenna Ortega is playing The Weeknd. Sorry, Jenna Ortega is playing Abel Tesfaye. Barry Keoghan is playing The Weeknd, as he is now, and The Weeknd is playing The Weeknd and Abel at the same time.
The crossing point.
The crossing point. Jenna Ortega is this like manifestation of who Abel used to be. And there's like hints at this. I mean, the most obvious one at the end is they say the same lines and they use a crossfade on their faces.
I laughed at that shot.
The same person. It's a very bad student-y shot. But even prior to that, I kind of caught on to the fact because she was burning down a home and had like missed calls from her mum. The Weeknd was talking about his relationship with his mother at the same time. Then kind of the way she was talking about The Weeknd, I don't know why it clicked, but I was just like, oh, this is a previous version of him that was more pure and more about the art and blew up his like previous life to get to be this artist. The Weeknd who he is right now, played by Abel, is conflicted between who he used to be in this artistry and who he's became, who's like this pop mega star who is perhaps not doing everything for the art. It's more of stardom and fame. And Barry Keoghan is representing that part of him where he's like, the people love you. It's all like, it's all fame and money and drugs and all that.
You're
shit.
A god.
You're a god to them. Yeah. Or in his Jamaican accent at some points.
Yeah, his accent really like weirded me out.
Yeah, it was very strange. So yeah, I think the movie is like a push and pull between like angel and devil, and like if you know about The Weeknd, you know that he's been wanting to kill off The Weeknd as a persona and go by his actual name or like a different name or something. But I think the conclusion of this movie is, if you've seen the movie, if you haven't, Jenna Ortega kills Barry Keoghan. And I think that is symbolic of the old Abel realizing that he can kill off all of these bad parts that The Weeknd's became. But Abel still exists. Abel still exists as The Weeknd, but also as Jenna Ortega in the end, because he realizes that The Weeknd as a name, as a figure, can still exist without the bad side of stuff. He can go back to being Abel, but still keep The Weeknd. All of this is just like self-congratulatory, like, I'm just jerking yourself off. He's basically doing that, like
on film. Do you think, in the vein of they can both exist or whatever, and he's no longer going with the Weeknd persona, do you think his music is going to change a lot?
I don't know. Well, people don't know. Like, he don't know what he's going to do now.
Because it'd be so interesting if his music sounded quite different.
Yeah. I mean, he ushered in the 80s synth pop, like, sound. And I don't think anybody's kind of, like, came close to what he's doing. But he's been doing that for a while now. You do wonder if it worked. And then he repeated it. And he got to a point where he's like, I'm fed up of this. If that's playing a part in it, I don't know. It would be really interesting if he goes a completely different direction musically. My read though is that like he's still gonna continue as The Weeknd based on this movie, or go by Abel. I don't quite know where he goes from here.
I didn't sit through this film trying to interpret it, really.
So fair.
Because a lot of it was quite straightforward until it wasn't.
Yes.
I've thought about it afterwards. You talked about death, purgatory, and then rebirth. I'd imagine they quite literally tried to do that because they whacked him over the back of the head. It was almost like he was in an afterlife.
Oh, you're so right.
And then when he came back, even getting out of bed, they set it on fire. It was almost like Phoenix rising from the fire sort of thing. So I do wonder if that's kind of where they were going with the death, purgatory and rebirth, like literally just doing it right at the end of the film, like super quickly running through it.
On that,
yeah,
you make a great point. There's so much of this movie that's just like plodding along. That back half an hour, make that a short film.
Sure, because that's where all of the thought lies in this film.
Prior to that, it's really nothing. Like, I think all the stuff with Jenna Ortega is this like setting up that she is a previous version of The Weeknd.
Right. So that you understand that by the time you get to...
I think so.
Right.
But I still think you require a level of understanding about the man to understand that.
I think so, because that makes me feel less stupid.
But
the only stuff that I was like, oh, that feels like something we've seen earlier in the film to me was like Jenna Ortega being like, talk to me, like be honest with me, and it sounded very much like someone that had been broken up with, like in a very toxic way, trying to like get this other person to speak to them when they're done, like they've moved on, that's it, and the other person on the other end is like, just fucking speak to me. That was the same sort of thing that The Weeknd had earlier on in the film. And all I thought at the time was like, oh, this is giving him a viewpoint of like, this is really toxic and he shouldn't be doing this. But really, I think it talks more to your point of her being part of who he is. And so like that is part of how he acts, is the kind of performance she's giving at the end there. I want to ask you about your interpretation, because I find it weirdly backwards where Jenna is supposed to be like the angel, and Barry's like the devil, because Jenna's the one that's like supposed to be innocent but burns down a home, kidnaps someone and murders someone. And then you have the evil person who actually is just a workaholic and party animal. And doesn't like all of those things are quite damaging, but to yourself. And maybe people around you, depending on how you act when you are that version of yourself. But like he is just like an outwardly like...
That's interesting.
And so like it's weird that like that's the version of The Weeknd that he's killing is that party animal, like workaholic version of himself that's maybe pumping out stuff that he doesn't want to make anymore or something, like wants to move on and be a different person. But it's interesting like getting back to maybe that's where the more complex layers come into it, is like maybe there is no innocent, like maybe just the previous version, it doesn't mean that they're innocent, it's just a different version of him that he's trying to get back to. Because I when I was thinking, I was like, how could she possibly be the good version of him?
Maybe do you know what? Maybe it's not the good version, but maybe it's the more authentic version of him.
Sure,
and it's not The Weeknd. It's Abel.
It is who he is.
And he did have to do stuff to get here. I mean, this is where like I think it's a very thinly veiled metaphor and it falls apart. I think the burning down a house, that's metaphorical for the family, especially because the mum calls Jenna at one point and she's like, you didn't have to do this, why did you do that, like you're insane, you destroy everything you touch, or like, and she's like, oh, I have to do it, I'm doing it for whatever. And I just think that's the symbolism of her being like, I had to leave my family behind to pursue this, even though I burned those relationships to get to where I am. But how kidnapping The Weeknd and killing Barry Keogh, I think the killing thing is literally just him killing the inauthentic part of himself. So yeah, if you view it as authenticity versus inauthenticity, if that's the word. But the kidnapping The Weeknd, I think, is just plot. And
then I think especially when you look at the poster and like Jenna's the one.
When you're saying in red. There's parts of this movie that are dire and like kind of sort of speak to the self-congratulatory shit that was going on about. There's a scene where The Weeknd goes like, I've been working on this song, do you want to listen to it? Then we sit for 3 minutes and watch Jenna Ortega get moved by this song that The Weeknd wrote for Hurry Up Tomorrow. And it's like, oh yeah, cool, it's an emotional song you wrote. Didn't need 3 minutes to like pat yourself on the back for that. That scene is then trumped.
I was gonna say, because that one didn't bother me that much.
Okay.
Because it was like they went back to a hotel room, and it felt like there was a more real version of him to me, where he was like kind of excited to show something off and be kind of pure about his excitement about his music, outside of the fucking like management and all that stuff. And then she's like really interested and moved by what he makes. So like that scene was fine to me. The scene that trumps it is the one that I found horrendous. I'm sure you're gonna mention.
But before we move away from it, I did want to say, on reading wise, the purgatory stuff. Did you ever read on that?
Honestly, I was wondering the bit where he sees the woman and then he's up against the wall and he's horrified by what he sees. I was like, is this like abusive stuff that's happening in front of him? Like, what is what the hell's going on? And because what else is? She hides her face. There's probably nothing wrong with her face. Like, what is that scene supposed to be?
I viewed that sequence as him being born through to the last version of himself that he killed. Again, this is just my read on it.
Who's the last one?
I think all of the stuff that we saw there was like previous versions of Abel that he killed.
Sorry, all of it. Was there not two people?
Yes. Yep.
So the woman is...
I'm assuming his mother.
Right.
And I'm assuming that was him being like birthed into the world, and that was horrifying for her. Like, okay. Childbirth is horrifying.
Interesting take.
And then we see something burning, and I'm not sure what the burning was, but then we see the child version of him that I think is another version that he killed.
Yeah, I definitely think that's reflective of him like not being that person anymore and like having gone away from that.
I do wonder if like the burning person is his mother, and he like metaphorically killed his mother because birth was painful for her. I really don't know. I just viewed it as like, oh, these are like he was in this purgatory bit, and all these people are like versions of him that no longer exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Should we talk about the scene?
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm blinded by the lights. You don't get it. This song's really emotional.
Sorry, I thought you were going to talk about the specific part of that scene, because that scene was like funny and goofy, and it became a parody at that point, and I was like, whatever, it's fine.
Yeah.
The bit where he starts singing in that scene was the bit where I was like, to like save the day.
Okay, so horrible. For anybody that is listening to this that hasn't seen the movie, at the end of the movie, after the purgatory sequence, there's still quite a big chunk of movie left.
Yeah.
Abel, the Weeknd played by Abel is tied up on a bed because Jenna Ortega has smacked him over the head. And she tortures him by singing his songs to him, and then proceeds to be like, oh, shall we sing this? And then gives like running commentary on like why people didn't understand the song. Before we get to the ending bit, which we find, I thought this was like, oh, come off it. You are one of the biggest pop stars. There will be people out there who understand the lyrics that you've wrote and take meaning from it. There's going to be some people that stick it on their summer playlist while they're having a barbecue. You don't need to then tell people, oh, people just didn't understand it. Like, fuck off. Fuck off.
I thought it was interesting just seeing, like, the obsession of, like, this character.
But then Jenna Ortega, then you have to read the movie as, like, an obsessive fan kidnaps the Weeknd.
Well, that's what it was up until a certain point.
Yeah.
So they can play into, like, there's a real world thing that's happening in this film, and there's like all the shit that you're supposed to read from within the film.
Yeah.
The fact that they did it twice, I think, is what makes it worse.
Because then Blinding Lights ends, and she goes, huh, how about another? What about one of your tracks off of Dawn FM? And you're genuinely, I don't know if you were laughing all the way
you
through.
And Samuel were
Me and Samuel were howling. The guy behind us was really laughing away as well. don't know if you heard him.
Yeah, I thought he was laughing at you guys.
Oh wait. Oh.
Well, because like I think he was fine, and you guys started laughing. I think you set him off. I think you made it seem funnier for him.
Dude, that seems fucking hilarious.
It's so like
gasoline.
I actually found it's kind of like unsettling because I didn't know what her character was going to do next.
I think in Better Hands that scene is actually really interesting. Holding down a pop star and torturing them with their own music. There's something interesting there. It was not interesting to watch. We didn't need to see Jenna Ortega fully perform 2 Weeknd songs. Come on now. And then, as you say, Jenna Ortega kills Barry Keoghan, and then Jenna Ortega like snuggles up next to him, and then The Weeknd sings, I think it's the final song off of Hurry Up Tomorrow.
Right.
Which is the song that he also played in the movie previously to Jenna Ortega.
I did wonder.
So we heard that twice.
Excellent.
Lovely.
Yeah, he sings it, and it's supposed to be like this really dramatic moment.
Because he said gasoline poured on him.
But I found that more funny than the scene with Jenna dancing. I was like, what is this like weirdly like supposed to be religious chosen one moment?
It speaks to their performances. I also think the writing, you're so right, it's like, it is self-congratulatory. It's like, well, look at me, I'm the Weeknd.
I don't think there was as much of that as there could have been, because I think
I agree,
because they explore like the darkness of him. It's not quite it's not brick by brick, piece by piece. Brick by Brick would have been a better name for the film. Pharrell Williams.
Oh, Pharrell Williams.
It's not
bad.
It's not quite that. It was just like, this is all the stuff that I've done.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. But this, in a weird way, I think is like as bad as that, because it is like being like, this is all the stuff. This is all the stuff I've dealt with, but I'm gonna package it in a way that seems like high art.
Isn't that life?
I think what the themes that this movie's dealing with could have been interesting had it wanted to explore them further. I just think it was very surface level. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything more?
No, I just want to talk about like the reads on the film, because like, yeah.
Yeah, I think with movies like this, it is like spoilery, I guess,
to jump into
like
that.
here's
especially when
here's
it's
my
last.
read.
The last third is where you start to have a read on the film.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we're gonna speak about that. This should have just been that last third, because now we can say like the first 2/3 of the movie, they're just like going to like a fair and then like going back to his hotel room playing music, but like all of that could have been chopped. The fact that he lost his voice, chop all of that, and just have it where like he's finished a concert and he's taking home a fan. That fan can still represent.
I mean, you could have still had the fair, like chopped in, like sharply cut in,
small little montage.
So that you know, like, this is a fan that he's just taken back to a hotel, basically.
Cut the surreal scene then,
and then you know what's the surreal scene.
The like purgatory scene.
No, I'm talking about, this is like before we get to the start, where like the part where the hotel scene would start.
Sorry, yeah.
So you'd know what the relationship was by the time you get to the point where they're sitting down listening to the music and stuff.
It just felt arty for arty's sake. Like the way it opens.
Yeah, my notes are beautiful, but why spinning and flashing - pretentious ?
The opening of just colours and a voicemail.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. The also there is a warning for photoepilepsy.
Oh my god.
At the start of this film, and it is the worst trigger for photoepilepsy I think I've ever witnessed, because it had me like, what the fuck's going on?
I also
like almost spinning in my own seat. It was a lot.
There's a 10-minute sequence that sometimes I need this to stop.
Yeah.
Well, Hurry Up Tomorrow. Go watch it.
Well, I'm glad it's tomorrow now. And that was left in yesterday.
Starboy. So I had to link this to another album. Can't be ours. Should we talk about Doctor Who? What the fuck? We spoke about that for an hour.
Yeah, I told you.
Okay. That's crazy. Should we talk about Doctor Who?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Doctor Who, I don't have any information up. This episode was called the
Interstellar Song Contest?
Interstellar Song
The Interstellar
Contest.
Song Contest.
Yeah.
I think.
I would like you to go first.
Yeah, because I think I have a positive view of this
Cool.
episode. I really enjoyed this episode.
Okay.
Yeah. This felt like Doctor Who to me.
Cool.
Just straight up. Like out of the bag. Ridiculous, and it is camp, but it
No. Say what you say.
The episode actually doesn't have much to it in terms of like layers or anything. It is a very straightforward, just like there is villain in episode, thing happens, conclusion, and it has a little bit at the end for the next episode. I guess we normally just spoil TV stuff.
Oh yeah, TV stuff will be spoiled.
I just enjoyed it. I don't know how. Like I find it easier to talk about Doctor Who when I'm criticizing it. It's hard to just be like, I really like this. I actually think this was the worst episode for Belinda probably, which is a shame. I don't think her writing in this episode necessarily reflected who her character is.
Absolutely.
It was very much like your classic or like casual companion lines of being like, oh god, the Doctor's gone. There was a delivery that I was like, that delivery was kind of like Donna Noble, and actually like it could have been a Donna Noble line. Not that most of the writing for that version of the companion in this episode was that. It was probably closer to like Rose Tyler or something, or Ruby Sunday. It's very much like, oh, I'm lost, I don't know what to do, instead of what Belinda has been, which is just like pick herself up, get together. Which, to be fair, in the context of this episode, she did think the Doctor had died. So I think it does work on some level, but there was no part of her that was, very little part of her that was like get it back together.
Yeah.
I also liked seeing the Doctor kind of fall apart in some way. Nowhere near as well done as Tennant, Capaldi, Matt Smith, whatever, but it was nice to get some level of that.
Jodie. You missed one.
I also missed Christopher Eccleston.
Oh yeah.
Which I do think they both have good performances, and I think Chris definitely has like the really dark moments, but nothing off the top of my head that is like, I've lost a companion, I'm against the world now, which I think those three had, and Shooty kind of got in this episode briefly. I think one of the things about that is, in standing with the rest of Shooty stuff is just shot weirdly and really anticlimactically.
Yeah.
So personally, I loved all of the stuff at the start with the arena. I think the CGI is really good in this episode. There's like, they go away out into space. It actually did feel like they used budget in this episode to me. The part that I think is just like, what is going on here is the bit where he's like stunning the villain at the end was just kind of ridiculous. The way that he stuns him the first time, he just like grabs him by the side, and then he's like get, and then he's on he's not on the floor yet. He walks over and does it on the shoulder as well, which is very like Cybermen when they didn't have guns and they'd walk over. But that was shot better. The Cybermen doing that in 2006 was shot better than that. This one is political, but in a better way than just about everything else in the last 2 seasons. I thought it was going to bother you, the politics in this episode, but because it's done not as well as something like Andor, I think it's serviceable for Doctor Who though, because it is a kids show and it's not hitting you over the head with it. It just is a plot point in this. It's a motivator in this episode. I think the villain in this is far better than Conrad. So I was sitting there being like, I feel like he could have done the Conrad performance better. He is that like classic straightforward villain of like, I'm the bad guy. I just think he did that well with nothing. What else do I have to say about this episode? The Rani thing at the end, I did like. having known that Rani is a character. I don't even know if you know. I've ever heard of the Rani before.
I have learned since our TikTok comments and TikTok videos, I guess.
Oh, you found the Rani in a TikTok comment somewhere.
Maybe it was.
Oh, there was that crazy guy, and he was like, "What about this, and this, and this?"
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that they're bringing, if they're doing a Time Lord villain, which I don't necessarily want, just to be clear, but if they're doing one, not making it the Master for once, which is lovely. And the thing I didn't like about that was the bi-generation. Incredibly unnecessary. It's supposed to be an extremely rare thing. They introduced it in the 60th and were like, this is a myth. We've had it twice within like 2 seasons. The only thing is, I do think it's going to bring about a hilarious dynamic with Mrs. Flood being a Rani and you've got the Rani, and I think she's going to be like the Rani's bitch, and I think that's quite funny.
Okay,
I'm looking forward to seeing that dynamic. That's my review.
Nice.
Yeah,
I didn't like this episode.
That's fine.
I honestly think it's because it's in the context of everything else that we've had. It was in watching this, I was like, I don't know if this show's for me. Like I'm kind of fed up with this. I don't think. I think because you're investing more time into it, I'm just really like. I feel just like annoyed at like so much stuff. I never think I'm getting to like sink my teeth into anything. I'm even thinking of the episodes that we've like enjoyed. I've always had issues with them, and not like small little like quibbles, like major issues with the plot and like the characterization, mainly the writing. And I don't know why in this episode I was just watching this and I was like, fuck. I don't know why. Is it every single episode this season has had a villain that is like a politically motivated person?
Incel, no. Lux, no. The Well, no. Conrad, yes. What the fuck was... Oh.
The engine and the...
No, it's half. It's 50%.
That's still weird. I don't... Like... It wouldn't be weird if it was just more nuanced, but... who is coming to this show for, like, political nuance? And, like... I don't know. I just think, especially as you say, when there's shows like Andor and stuff on that are dealing with that, make this the fun, campy, like, family show. I don't know why it bothered me, but I was just like, it's just so surface level. Oh, we want to kill people because they killed our planet. Okay.
I don't think Doctor Who has much more time to go into that, or necessarily needs to.
But like, you don't need to. But like the Daleks, they just want to kill. Cool.
But people, I think, to be fair, arguing for I think the way that this was done was better than like the incel episodes.
But that right? Okay. Do you think it was good though?
I actually think it was fine.
Do you think it was good?
Sure.
Interesting.
I mean, it's a character motivated by a thing that happened on his planet. I don't think you necessarily need more than that.
Not bad, but it's just like I again, in the context of this season, in an 8-episode season, if you say half, why are they all motivated the same? Like, everybody's gonna perish because like something happened to me, and here's my plan.
Yeah, sorry, like, that's where it fails. But to be fair to like this one specifically, that is kind of, people do get radicalized, and that is how some people go about it.
I'm not saying that anything to do with the politics was wrong. Sorry, the acts that the guy wanted to commit were clearly wrong.
You mean
like the way to get there perfectly makes sense. I just, again, contextually,
the ones that don't make sense. This is what I'm saying. Like this one, yeah, sure, I'll go with it. This one's good. The Conrad character, he's ridiculous in the sense of like, yes, like how does he get to that point from just whoever he was, and you don't explore what his like issues are, if that makes sense, like what his motivations are to get to that point. It just feels like he's just a chronic liar from a child.
I think perhaps it's because the motivations, we didn't get to see that from him. We saw that from a different character.
In this episode.
Yeah.
She explains.
Yeah.
Maybe we needed to see...
I just genuinely think it's writing overall. Mm-hmm. It's like... The more politically heavy ones feel like they have these scenes where it's like... Here's the reason why everything's this, and this, and like explanation, and like... It's just not fun. I'm not having fun watching it. Again, contextually,
I just think... wonder if we're sitting here, like, when I was watching the episode, and there was a line that got said, and I heard you make a noise at the
Oh
line.
my god. I can tell you what it was.
Well, it was a couple of...
Kid, like a baby goat.
Not that one. There was other stuff.
I was like, are you fucking serious? You've just made Belinda kind of a racist. Oh, you got horns, like a baby goat.
Oh, wow.
Why else would she say that?
Yeah. Jeez. There was a line that got said, and I did hear you make a noise, but it was a line that was like so similar to like a Stephen Moffat line, and I know you wouldn't have been annoyed with it when watching it in a Stephen Moffat episode. So like I was sitting there being like, are we now being overly analytical as adults of this version of the show, but when we go back we don't do that with the original version of the show?
I just rewatched it.
Yeah, but like we have so much nostalgia for it. Like the most critical I've been of Doctor Who is when I introduced it to my ex. And I think that's when I started poking holes in it.
To be like, I really like this. Oh, I know this bit's bad, but...
Or even being like, oh, this isn't as good as I thought it was. And there's other episodes that really stood out to me.
Hey, I'm not saying that this show is like 10 out of 10 or whatever. I just think it was better than what it is now.
I also agree. By a good portion.
Yeah. Fuck. Anyway, apart from that, I just think as wider as an episode, I think it's having issues that everything has. All the other episodes are having, which is weird because it's also different writers this season. Mm-hmm. And the fact that I'm feeling these issues across the board is just strange. The pacing's fucking atrocious in like all of it. Big exploratory, like massive scene, and we have Rylan, and we're setting up about 20 characters, and then suddenly we're just in 2 rooms. And then we're in 2 rooms for ages, and then we're in a room, and then the villain's defeated. Why is the Doctor... Sorry, I'm just going to go off.
Go. All I was going to say was I'd see your point, because I hadn't noticed at the time. Now you're saying it, I kind of understand. It's been the same in all the episodes where you... there's a lot... It's like choppy. It's just you go through everything really quickly, and then you're like, we're here now?
Yeah.
Sorry, come on.
I'll talk about what I was going to say. The Doctor's outside, and then he does a fucking Princess Leia with a confetti cannon for some reason, because he remembers his granddaughter. Like, why? Okay, sure, get him there.
I'm not mad at that yet. It really depends how they wrap that up.
I don't trust. I have lost my faith in this show to like wrap up or explain or dive into anything. Like, anyway, I saw you sent me a TikTok of this woman who was complaining about the well, and I completely agree with what she was saying. In previous versions of the show, you had a similar thing where they arrive somewhere, they're in a room, there's maybe 5 or 6 people, you learn about all 5 or 6, you kind of care for these people, perhaps they're picked off one by one.
Like Voyage of the Damned is an excellent example of this.
Great.
She used Midnight because she was comparing the Midnight and the Well, but like Voyage of the Damned is like top tier.
Yep. But like in every episode of Chuti's Era, when they've tried to do this, which is a lot, you don't care for the people. They don't really bother setting them up. In this one, we get 2 guys and they're gay, and they're arguing. One of them is a medical person. One of them does holograms. By the end, they really like each other because they have saved 100,000 people.
They also really like the Doctor too.
Well, that was a funny joke. On the other side, you have girl who is obviously the race of the people that are being prejudiced against.
Yeah.
And husband who just hates her.
That was really odd. The way he turned on her.
And then it's never followed up again.
Yeah, and also his acting was atrocious.
Yep.
When she starts singing, and then you can see the look in his face, and he's like, oh my god.
The songs were also awful, but that's by the by.
I see your point. I don't think these characters were like as bad as other characters.
I agree.
I think had we got the same level of writing as we did in like the original RTD era, it would be like we'd have smaller moments where the Doctor would have a conversation with them.
Yeah.
And you'd find out more about them there. But that never happens because the Doctor's just... Shooty's version just runs around all the time.
Yeah.
And never like stops for a minute.
Also, in you saying that, they do kind of have that scene with Belinda and this girl, and they're learning about her planet and stuff. I can't put my finger on it. Nothing's like sticking. Nothing's feeling real. It's not feeling authentic. It feels glossy and it feels fake to me, and I'm just...
I've never had a problem with that scene.
Chewie's Doctor is beginning to just really like feel like nothing to me. I feel like he is just performing as the Doctor. I
unfortunately know what you mean, and it bothers me too. Yeah.
He doesn't feel real. And look, this episode is not... It's not atrocious. I would maybe say... What have we had this season? I would maybe say it's the third best. Like, it's not the worst, but like, it's just symptomatic of Chewie's era as a whole being like, is the best it's got. I don't think it's ever been... That was really good.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for that.
And then this ending, I kind of knew that this is where this was going. Maybe this is what's pissed me off, and like retroactively, maybe not like the episode as much. But the villain reveal at the end of Mrs. Flood, I think, is just like shit. Like pure shit. You've been building her up for 2 seasons, and then you do a bi-generation. So she's not the main villain anymore. The woman that you've been setting up for fucking 2 seasons, suddenly she's like a groveling little, like, whatever to the main villain, who I know we saw her for 2 seconds, so I'm not going to fully cement my opinion. I thought her acting was dire in the 2 seconds we saw her. I hated the dynamic that they had. Mrs. Flood became like... her acting was bad, being like, oh yeah, okay...
Sorry, Mrs. Flood's acting has always been like that.
Yeah. Yes. I thought they were just going to explain it away in a more interesting way. Like, this was just... And it's like, oh yeah, this classic Who villain that's like... I don't care.
It's like bringing back the Master in season 3 of the original New Who, but like in a worse way.
You are right. You did point out, like, this has happened many times before, and it's never bothered me. But I think it's just because, like,
it's because they
there's
fumbled
been
the bag.
Build up and like
because we're right off the back of Sunek last season.
Yeah,
and there was no build up to Sunek because you had... Am I pronouncing his name right? It is Sunek, right? Sutek, that's it. My apologies.
Who's the
real Whovian now? Sutek. They build them up, but it's so haphazardly done to the point where there is no hint that it's going to be Sutek, which I know is what they wanted, but it doesn't benefit the viewer.
Yeah.
And in a similar way here, you have had build up to Mrs. Flood just in terms of knowing that she's a mystery, but it would have maybe benefited us to have had an episode or 2 of hinting towards it being a Time Lord or Time Lady or whatever. Before we had the reveal of the Rani, who nobody knows who she is, so now we're gonna have to get an explanation, which is fine because that did happen before, but it needs to, and it won't be done in like an interesting way. Yeah, where because of the way that it happened originally, where David Tennant was like, "I was I'm last Time Lords," blah blah blah, was like slowly drip feeding information, and gets to that point where he's like explaining the fob watch and everything like that before you get the Master in season 3. Like, there was build up. Sorry, now I'm just having I'm crumbling right now because I'm having a moment of thinking about all the threads that were there in season 3 before you got to that point. Yeah. That we just do not have here, which is really unfortunate.
I mean, you could view it as these 2 seasons are nearly just a little bit over the length of what 1 season would have been. Yeah. In the original.
Which is obviously what their plan was with the arc for Mrs. Flood, where they're like, we'll just do it over 2 seasons. But they haven't done it well.
No.
I do have like my own self canon for why she. You remember she sees the police box and doesn't know what it is.
Yeah.
I think that made her go open a fob watch. She like it was the thing that set her off to be like, I recognize that, and then she starts hearing the voices and things and goes and like becomes the Rani. We're never going to see that. I'd imagine.
I would like to apologize. I don't think this episode is as atrocious as I probably set out to be. I'm just growing tired of the show,
and it's affecting
enjoying
episodes.
Actual episodes.
Yeah.
I think this episode is fine, but in the context of like everything just being like a 5 out of 10 or whatever, like, or lower, I'm just like not enjoying myself watching this, especially when I'm watching other shows that I don't feel this way. It's like I did want to ask you, who do you think Susan is?
Who do I think Susan is?
Sorry, I've kind of right. We see Susan.
Yeah.
She is a Time Lord.
Yes.
I was assuming that she'll have regenerated, but I guess because we've seen the older version of her, she's not.
She's not. Also, I think the actress is like 70 odd now. So right. I mean, good for her to come back to the show, and I mean, I'm hoping there's more of her, because
I imagine there will be, unless this is a fucking setup for something else and we're not going to get resolved.
It would be interesting if this was their way of bringing Susan back into the show by having her regenerate or something into someone new. I swear there's theories about Belinda being
That's
Susan.
what I thought, but then I was like, but we saw her now not regenerated, so
but it could be the different time.
Oh, I guess.
I do really wonder, because they could do what they want and everything with the Rani and Susan and things. I think they're going to mess up Belinda, because I don't know how you're supposed to write a character that doesn't remember who they were as how we saw Belinda before, unless it's like her memory gets wiped and then that's where Belinda ends up. She just dies. Like, because if you make her another impossible girl like Clara, that's not interesting. We've done that already. People weren't a fan of that at the time.
Silly people.
Not my girl Clara. So I think Belinda's the one that they could fuck up the most.
Sorry, I agree.
Yeah.
Sorry,
they have too much on their plate for this finale.
Yeah. Because they haven't. They've not. Belinda's entire story needs to be done, because they haven't developed her at all. They have developed her as a character. They've not developed her story.
Yes. We know who she is, but we don't know what her arc is.
Do you think, in the amount of episodes that she's got compared to other companions, not Ruby because she doesn't count. Sorry.
No, go on.
Not Ruby, because I know the answer is no to this.
Yeah.
Compared to other companions, do you think that she has been like as developed as they have been?
By half a season?
Well, what would I guess it would be half.
Rose, no.
Yeah.
You get our father stuff 5 episodes in or whatever.
Yeah.
I actually don't know. It might be 6, something like that. It is like half.
Oh no! Yeah, is that not like episode 4?
It's no. It might be. It's like 5 or 7, because you have her pilot.
Yeah.
You've got the past and the future. So the past and the present. And I was like, we just did. So you get like the 3, and then you have. I thought it was Aliens of London. I thought.
Oh, you do, because the return is a 2-parter, and then they have Dalek is 6. No.
Oh, I think Dalek does come out. No, I think this becomes. I actually don't know. Somewhere in there, somewhere in the middle of the season. But even regardless of that set us the Doctor really well for that first season.
Yeah.
Then obviously you get more of Rose in season 2. Martha, I think they do really well. I think they have the Lazarus experiment by about halfway through her 3rd season.
They do, yeah.
Donna, she gets a little bit of a cheat, because they get to have like the funny, goofy, quippy stuff, and then they get to delve into her character. But I think even Donna, even though don't know, because we get this entire two-part and you get the home life and her going back.
What's crazy is, I agree, I think Donna's set up better as well, but they handled 2 companions as well at that point.
What, the Martha and Donna?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before halfway, and you still find Donna more compelling.
You have fully developed Martha.
Yes.
And then you have...
Donna's developed, I think, by episode 1.
Well, the adipose episode.
Yep. You spend a lot of time with her.
Oh, fair. You get like the half and half.
Yep.
That's what this show used to do really well.
Yeah.
Was the balance.
That episode, by the way, was episode 8.
What, the father one?
Mm-hmm.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, Dalek 6, and then after that is the bloody the Weakest Link one. No, it's not. Wait,
the Weakest Link's the finale. That'll be the.
No, that's Bad Wolf.
But they're on the space station for. The news. It's the news station.
Yep.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. Matt Smith. You've got Amy. They already know she's No, they already have like the Amy Rory dynamic in like her first episode.
Which are again 2 people.
Which granted, I don't think that's their characters developed, because I think they're so different to that is. By about half. I think she is too, by like even halfway through that season.
She's kind of sex object too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's so much more that happens for both of those characters.
Yeah, fair.
But again, halfway through the season, sure, like Vampires of Venice, firmly.
Oh yeah, and you get the Angels 2-part.
Clara, I actually don't know. I think Clara's more one of the weakest out of those lot. I think a lot of what you get from Clara comes when Capaldi comes around.
Okay, agreed. But also, you don't like her introduction. And I think it's good.
The Bells of St. John.
Oh, wait. Sorry. I was thinking of the Snowman.
Oh, I like the Snowman.
Wait, when is the Snowman?
The Snowman's in between...
It's season 6, isn't it?
Yeah, she has like a Christmas special.
Yeah.
No, I like the Snowman. The Bells of St. John's not great, but it's still like fun. It's like fun.
It's fun.
It's fun Docky Who.
Yeah.
It's Capaldi's first episode. I think it's atrocious.
Yes. Which you're wrong about, but
I'm absolutely not.
I think you are maybe right. Clara doesn't have the strongest, but then you have. I still think because she comes in halfway, and then you get the name of the Doctor. I think she's strong in that episode.
I think
by that point.
No, I think she's strong on the Day of the Doctor,
which is after Name of the Doctor. Why is it not here? It's listed under specials.
Yeah.
So silly.
Yes. She's the one that... I think... But I don't even know if it's by that point, given that season, but like in that specific special, I think she is very strong. She's like a teacher. She's like fully fledged, that she is an independent, doing whatever. She's like not like reliant on the Doctor. I guess she just joins for adventures whenever. Mm-hmm. She is the one that... can read the Doctor, so like John Hurt, she can tell that he's younger than the other ones, and also is the one that actually spurs Matt Smith on to come up with the idea to like actually go about thinking about saving Gallifrey in a whole new way. Mm-hmm. She's the one that's like, you don't have to fucking murder everyone. There's another way, and that means like she's the one that saved Gallifrey. Mm-hmm. She is the one.
So I'm jumping back to this episode. You go back to the companions after, but kind of what you were saying with the murdering Gallifrey, it just made me think. Talking about Chuty, being like feeling like he's performing as the Doctor instead of just like being the Doctor. I thought his anger was like a performance. This episode where it was like, you're killing all these people, and then Belinda being like, I've never seen him this way. None of it felt authentic.
I agree. Cool. I just think it was nice seeing that side
to get
even if it was if I didn't think the performance was all that great, which is really frustrating.
I know. I think that's it. I find this episode more like, I wish it was good.
Yeah. Just to wrap up your point on the companions, I think she's not been as well developed as. Well, I better developed than all of the Jodie companions, unfortunately, in terms of like, they should have all been developed really well. I was having a conversation with someone last week who has a dyspraxic sister, and her sister was like, what is like with Ryan's character and
Yes.
Dr. Human, like, this isn't how dyspraxia works. Like, what's happening here? So yeah,
representation. Yeah, representation just doesn't mean show the thing. It also means like do it well.
Yeah. Actually portray it as is.
Yeah. Do you have anything more to say about this episode?
Not particularly.
I don't either. I really hope this finale is good, but I have absolutely dirt rock bottom expectations.
I don't care of what the quality of this finale is because, again, like low expectations. Excuse me. My worry purely comes from the state of the show and where it's going to be in a few weeks. Like the decisions will be made soon enough, I'm sure, or the talks will begin soon enough on what's going to happen with this show.
I weirdly think that this show doesn't have a place in its current form.
It needs to be revived in a new way.
Yeah, it's not family enough to be like family. I think it's not like gritty and like profound enough to be like adult viewing. I think it's just lost. But
yep.
Guess it's good for fans of the old show to see villains that they really wanted to come back.
Maybe there just needs to be stakes for this show to again, and if that means that the show needs to get cancelled.
Do you think Chuti's regenerating?
Sorry, that was a long pause because I really had to think about it. I don't think the plan was for that to happen. But was it you or somebody else I spoke to about this? I wouldn't be surprised if they've shot a regeneration scene.
Interesting. So lovely, another thing with no build up.
Yeah, just because did I speak to you about there's two occurrences in Nuhu where they shot a regeneration scene with nobody on the other end.
Oh, Christopher Eccleston.
Yeah.
Who else? Oh, Jodie.
Yeah.
Yeah, into 14.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a funny one because like Chris is just like, I think I've seen David Tennant talk about, and they were both David Tennant, which is really funny.
Yeah.
David Tennant just always comes in to save the show.
Great. Chewie, you film this and we'll just get David Tennant.
Yeah, we'll bring him in. We'll make him a fifth version of the same character. The Christopher Eccleston one I think is funny because David Tennant was like, yeah, I think Billy Piper was tape on a wall because he needed the eye line. And then the Jodie one's funny because like that cliff, I don't know if it exists, but it's obviously not shot there. Shot in studio. So it's behind the scenes, green screen, real TARDIS, actor. That's it.
Wow.
That can't be fun to shoot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
A husk of what it wants. Do you know what I should do? I think I should watch a few episodes from the previous show and just be like...
Don't do that. Do that after, because it'll really bring you up. But if you do it beforehand, the season finale is going to be way worse.
I just want to see if I'm like retroactively making... I don't think I am. I feel like I'm being gaslit by fucking TikTok comments.
Wait, sorry. No, my point wasn't... I think the show was much better.
Okay.
But I do think like it was much better because of like a lot of the overarching things and some of the writing in terms of like who the development of the characters. Some of the dialogue I think is probably still cringy.
Oh sure.
It's just like it was fine then, and now watching it, it doesn't work as well, and I don't know if that's us or society.
But some people can sell it better. True. Donna has like cringy ass lines, but she sells it.
You got an example?
What?
What?
That was wow.
Thank you.
Wow. I really wish I could do an impression, but I don't know where I was gonna.
Those weren't good impressions.
Yeah, it was great. Peter Capaldi. There's that one word in the back of your mind.
Clara. Because I was thinking of like the what like Donna Noble doctor scene, just wanted to bring up because I think it was Dermot that told me about this, and I hope I get what he told me right. a lot of David Tennant's seasons ended with, or even Christopher Eccleston like becomes David Tennant, like, and it's like what was talking about Barcelona, and like it's just like this fun moment to like what was really dramatic beforehand. It's a lot of like undercutting in season finales.
Yeah.
So like season 2 ends, he loses Rose Tyler, and then Donna Noble appears, and she's like, "What?" And then the Martha one, Voyage of the Damned, like the ship comes through like straight after him, like leaving Martha.
Oh
and he's upset.
yeah.
Season 4 ends. He loses Donna. Like memory gets wiped. The next episode is the next Doctor with like the Cyber Lady and the Cyberman and the Cyber Shades, I think they were called, like the dog ones that were like the black fur and like the cyber masks.
Yeah.
And Dermot had said something like Russell was going to undercut the moment where he loses Donna with the Cyber Shades popping up behind David Tennant, and Julie Gardner, who was the producer and is now owns the production company Wolf Studios that are producing again, was like, "You are not doing that. We are not doing this again." To Russell, this is ridiculous. So I don't know if that's true, but that's fucking hilarious.
Did that happen in Chuti's last episode?
I don't think so. I think there actually was a more serious ending too.
Oh yeah, we got fucking I'm a Road. Cool. Shall we talk about Andor, Owen?
Suppose if we have to.
Again, probably why I was so harsh on my Doctor Who review is because one of the best seasons of TV ever just wrapped up. So we're going to be talking about Andor season 2. Spoilers for the whole shebang, because that's it. It's done. I don't know how you want to tackle these 3 episodes. We started by tackling art, and then last week it just went really different, and this week I think it went even more different.
I think I think each episode is its own thing, but the first episode is so different from the other 2.
Yeah, do you want to talk about the first episode first?
That I would say that was my favourite of the 3.
Same.
I was going to call it a bottle episode. It's not. It's just nice that there's an episode that essentially just focuses on 2 of the characters that we really like. And I don't even think it was necessary to see more of the backstory for them, but we got it.
Yeah.
And it was great.
Yep.
The Luthen character, so interesting to me because it was subversive for me. I don't know about everyone else, because I thought he was born into the high life and was choosing to help out. Whereas what we got was like a Batman sort of character.
Yeah.
Where, like say, it could have been any sort of trauma in his life that made him realize that he should be fighting for the right side, right? That's not what we got. He was a sergeant in the military, or a general in the military, or whatever. I'm assuming for the Empire. That's what I was getting from that. Aside from the fact that all of the soldiers didn't look like they were part.
The Empire's not established at that point, though. I don't think, considering his age.
Well, how old is Clea? Because the Empire had been around for like 30 years by the time, and I don't know that age. So like,
I don't know if it's like he was a separatist soldier,
right?
And it was
and then went to hiding because that would maybe make more. Anyway, so he's a soldier.
Yeah.
And then works his way up to like hiding amongst all of these like high life people.
Yep.
Which I thought was so interesting. I think getting to see Clea, like you said, pulling all the strings, because she is the influence, regardless of direction of where those 2 characters went, the influence in essentially going into hiding and becoming a whole new person for Luthen, from this soldier to essentially like a father figure. Yeah. Regardless of where they chose to go on from that point, he was now protecting this young girl. But the direction that she took the both of them, by wanting to push back against the Empire, and also being the one that is capable of negotiating with people, in a really like just intelligent way. Just being able to like act like you're the shit. Yeah.
Confidence is key.
Yeah. And also having the knowledge about the actual products. I might be misremembering this, but I think she understood what the actual worth of was of the item and names what it actually is. So actually she is like the intelligence, as well as the drive behind a lot of the operation. Luthen obviously is just the one that has more experience, and so
Yeah, he's imparting his wisdom as well, especially that scene in Naboo where they blow up.
So that is Naboo?
Yeah.
Okay.
Apparently it is in a location that should have been in the Phantom Menace, but was cut.
That's very cool.
Which is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially that scene where, like, he's like, "Oh, don't look, Cleo." That's an awful impression of him. God, he has such a distinct voice as well. I can hear it in my head.
I mean, he has an accent too.
Yeah.
Which regard, I don't know if he's trying to put on like a different accent, but like it bleeds through. Like
he sounds completely different.
Yeah, accent is like
the Skarsgård accent.
Yeah. It's a whole other thing.
Yeah, it's not Norwegian or wherever they're from.
No.
It's
Skarsgård.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if I have much more to say about the episode. Tragic.
Yeah. I felt like a big old dummy because I don't know if the episode wanted to make you feel this way or if it was just me being an idiot. I was like, this is so interesting. She's going to save him. I never once thought she was going to kill him.
It's so funny because I also thought, she's going to save
God.
him. But there was a point before she chose to kill him where I was sitting there going like, I realised at some point that she was going to have to kill him.
Yeah.
Because you know how damaged he is. Through the at a certain point, let's say like halfway through the episode, you know that he's being kept alive by machines and that she isn't going to get him out. I think I was just swithering between like what she knew, and that would indicate what her decision would be. Because if like he was only damaged a bit, then maybe she would have saved him. But as soon as she saw him and knew the state he was in, I also do wonder how she knew he was there.
What do you mean?
Like, how does she find out that he's there?
They took him to the hospital.
How does Clea find out?
She's at the place when she sees the ambulance fly off.
Good point.
Yeah, wait, I have so many top level thoughts, and then I have more about the episode, but go ahead.
We also have a really cool moment where they cut back to her when she's in the safe house before leaving, and you see her crying.
Oh yeah.
And it's kind of obvious in that moment that that's when she made the decision that she was going to go kill him.
Yeah. To some. I was just so in it. I was like...
Well, that sort of like me with Her Up Tomorrow, where I was like, I'm not trying to analyse this. It's kind of straightforward. And then suddenly I had to.
Not compare these two.
I'm not comparing the projects, I'm comparing the thought processes.
God. No, I don't like my thought process for this being like Hurry Up Tomorrow. We said a few weeks back, we were like, oh, Clea, MVP of this arc. And never would I have guessed, we even spoke about it last week, like, where do you think this arc's going to go? Like, who are we going to see? And you were like, oh, it'd be cool to see, like, Mon, like, really in charge of the rebellion.
We're like, I don't know if there's room for Luthen and stuff now.
Yeah.
We've moved away from that side of the rebellion.
And it's like, no, we're just going to focus on Luthen and Clea. I thought that was such a genius fucking decision.
Oh, I loved... sorry, I just remembered. Because at the start, we're skipping over stuff. Because Luthen and Dedra haven't started.
I was going to, get to it. Yeah.
Sorry.
You're good.
When Dedra comes in, I was still unsure whether or what situation we were in. If she knew or not. And then to further that point, like, if she did know, did she bring other people with her, or was it just a one-on-one standoff?
Yep.
And what I really appreciated was, and I'm assuming it was there for a reason, they're talking about all of the things that are forged or in question.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, which ones are authentic? And there's two things that are authentic that are in question.
Yeah.
And it's them two.
It's them two, yeah.
I just loved it.
Great.
So much.
It was fucking brilliant. They don't have a scene together until that scene.
Yeah.
And that's a way to make something that isn't like bombastic or like splashy and a spectacle feel so like monumental, is have these two characters who give great fucking monologues and have great ideologies oppose each other, and they finally meet. You're like, oh yes, my God. No, I thought that scene was absolutely brilliant. The way that we've been able to see Luthen put on this facade, and we've seen that in so many situations. Never really have had to see Dedra put on a front, and for her to like walk in and play this game with him for like just a little bit, give her the knife. Oh, what interesting knife! Blah blah blah. Like it, you could like their words were dripping with like subtext. So good. Also, did not expect for him, because you cut back to Dedra, and then it cuts back and he's chopped himself up. Yep. Didn't expect that in the slightest. It happens off screen. Really cool. I want to go even further back, because you have that scene at the start with Lonnie on the bench, who's like,
oh, sure,
I need to get out.
Yeah.
Like, I've learned all this. I think what's really interesting, well, kind of like the thesis of the entire fucking show is that, like, every single part, like, this only works if, like, every single person plays their part correctly, and that goes from, like, the smallest, most insignificant person, they're not really insignificant, they played a large part of this story, without Lonnie, and then, by extension, without Dedra, they don't get the Death Star plans. If Dedra didn't go snooping, she doesn't have that on her computer.
Oh my god, yeah. It's not even Lonnie working for the rebellion. It's also Dedra, just the flaws of Dedra.
It's her being such a flawed, obsessive human being that is the undoing of the entire empire, and I think that's such, like, bittersweet, like, justification. It's so interesting. But yeah, his whole thing where, like, Luthen says, oh, it's fine, we'll both get to Yavin. And, like, you're sitting there like, well, Luthen doesn't end up on Yavin. And you don't want to end up on Yavin. So what the fuck's going to happen to this guy?
I actually was sad that there was an extra shot of Lonnie lying on the bench, dead.
Yep.
I would have preferred if we left it on the white. I
completely agree.
And you're just like,
yep,
that's it.
Didn't need it.
That's it for him. Like, we didn't need it was too explicit.
I thought the exact same thing.
Yeah.
I actually didn't even need a shot of him.
Fair enough.
I thought just, like, the implication that Luthen did that is enough.
Yeah. I think that added more emotion for me, was seeing him on the bench.
Yeah. Also, the fact that, now, maybe I'm reading into this too much, but, like, we spoke a few weeks ago confused because he had a wife, but that other Imperial guy that he's with, and he's like, oh, how are you going to repay me? And he's like, oh, take me out for lunch.
Yep.
Has that man for years, because his wife and child are in hiding, been faking a relationship with this Imperial man to get stuff out of
I assumed when he said my wife and child are in hiding, he just put them into hiding.
See, I don't know, because Dedra has that, when that Imperial officer guy goes to her cell, it's like, oh, do you have any advice for me? And she's like, oh, I thought your best friend Lonnie, or whatever she says, would help you. And he's like, oh, we're not best friends, or whatever. Like, I just had this weird, like, you don't need to answer that, but I'm like, has this man faked a relationship for years in service of the rebellion and then just being killed?
Never read it like that. I don't know.
Yeah, just interesting. Yeah, as people who were saying Claire was MVP, I'm just so glad to get more of her. I think I want even more of her. Mm-hmm. I will take a show dedicated to her. I think she's fucking fascinating as a character. The fact that this is, I can't remember the actress's name, the fact that this is her first role in anything ever is insane. Insane. Ever. She's straight out of school. Yep. I genuinely floored.
I also think that speaks to, like, directors and stuff as well, because I think like a lot of times, like, actors are tools, and to use them correctly and direct them correctly.
Have you read the whole thing about Tony Gilroy saw her in the first season and was like, I need to figure out a way to have you in the story more?
No, but then that speaks volumes to her.
Goes both ways.
Yeah. Because he's like,
oh fuck,
I've struck gold.
Yeah. And I, maybe odd comparison to make, but I know a lot of our friends especially had issues with the last episode of the first season of The Last of Us, because it's like this, if you played the games, Joel is like going through a hospital trying to get to Ellie. Mm-hmm. It's basically that scene in The Last of Us. That's what this episode was. It was like a get to Luthen.
Yeah.
I just thought it was done so much better than that. And I didn't even have that much issues with it, but I was like, oh, this is so Last of Us.
I didn't realize people had issues with
people
season
really
one
didn't
of
like it.
That's crazy to me. I couldn't put my finger on it, just going over to The Last of Us for a second. But I did enjoy the first half of that season way more than the second half.
Yeah.
The only thing I could remember about it was that it was taking more liberties, and it was being a different show to what the game was for the first half as opposed to the second half. Aside from that, I'm not really sure why I felt like that.
I think people felt like the pacing was off, and like, because especially with that hospital scene, you spend like hours fighting through, and then the show was 20 minutes.
That's fine, it's a show.
And then they do it as a montage. I know.
Back to Andor.
Back to Andor. Yeah. I just love the little details that you got as well, of like, oh, it had to be a team of 3 people, and it's like, oh, cool. Even in universe, they know how fucking bad she is. The performance with the pair of them, and also actually to the child actress who played Clay as well. I thought she was good, but great. And I think the moment of her like killing Luthen was really, it's like, oh, I found myself like, oh, fuck. Because I also didn't see it coming. So when she's there and she's like takes the thing off, it only then like did it dawn on me. I was like, oh no.
Yeah, I was like, is she gonna do it? And then she did do it. And I was like, oh, no. I do think it's funny that like you see her walk in. What I do find funny is like her standing in the hallway. She's not supposed to be there. All of the windows are like wrapped around. Like anyone could look at her at any moment. She's just like counting all the people that are there or whatever. You know what I'm talking about. Like she gets onto that floor, she kills someone, and then for like solid like 10 seconds, she's just like there at the window, like seeing who's there. Anyone could have looked back at her and seen her. So which I did find funny. The fact that you see all of them, the stormtroopers, and I was sitting there being like, how are you gonna do this? This isn't possible. Turn around and go home. And she does it.
She's badass.
The one bit of acting that I didn't enjoy was Luthen as the Muppet.
The grandma who she takes hold of.
No, that was brilliant. That was fantastic.
Okay, good.
Luthen as the soldier. There's a point where he's like on the ship and he's like, make it stop, and I thought it was so like theater. I didn't feel real to me. I don't think, and I think that's writing. I don't think it's him. I don't think
you needed that verbalized.
Yes, that's exactly what I was gonna say.
Yeah,
like him shouting that out.
Yeah. I can't remember where that episode ends. Does she escape and make it back to the safe room?
And then it's like beep beep beep, all that stuff, and then Andor goes to. No, but that happens like halfway through episode 2.
Through episode 2, that's what I was confused at. Anyway, I mean, we're there. The shot that you mentioned, I thought was also glorious. I've seen it used in a lot of edits. The start of edits.
Are you talking about the bench?
No, sorry. The bit where she's crying. She's staring out the safe house window.
Oh, sure.
Clay's just there and she's like crying. So that's good. Yeah. So she makes it back. She finds that device and then calls Andor.
Yeah, I just don't know. So we're just in episode 2 now.
Yeah.
Episode 2 is a bit of a blur for me. I don't think there's a lot that happens in episode 2.
Neither.
It actually, if any episode of this season is a filler episode, it's episode 2.
I don't think it's filler. You get you do get stuff on Yavin, so you're learning dynamics. It is. This is where
it's just a lot of stuff on Yavin. Right?
Yeah.
Like it's like you see that Mon Mothma's sister's back, and then you first see Mon Mothma on Yavin in this episode.
Wear a pixie cut.
Looks great. Not enough Mon Mothma in the last 3 episodes.
I know. She got 2 standout moments though.
Oh, you get introduced to, and I think the start of this episode is Andor and Robot and Scott
K2SO.
Yeah.
I've forgotten the Scottish guy's name. Oh well.
He gets introduced.
Yeah, they're playing cards or a game.
It'll be the same card game that's like in the Star Wars universe. It's like
I read somewhere that it's the people in the production office, they made a new game.
Oh. For reasons?
I don't know.
Money.
I also might be wrong.
Yeah, I think that's the start of the episode. Is episode.
I remember how episode 1 ends. Beep 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 beep. They call Will, and Will's thing's underneath his bed.
Yeah.
and then it starts with Will taking that up to Andor.
See, that's what I thought, but then I was also like, as soon as he gets that, no, it's not. I don't think the episode 1 has any Andor in it.
No, it has no Andor in it.
Yeah, so that's what 2 starts.
Episode 1 ends with Will getting the beeps. Episode 2 then starts with him going up to Andor.
All right, I'll take your word for it.
Something like that.
Yeah, something along those lines.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And we get them flying to go save Clea, and they storm that building,
And it ends.
and it does end.
Episode 3 of that arc starts with the actual
Like assault on that. Yeah, because it ends with the ISB agent on the floor, and you're like, oh, how are they gonna get out of this?
A lot of those first 2 episodes, I think, is what we have Dedra and
Dedra. That's all episode 2. Yes.
Yeah. And you, I don't know about you, I actually felt bad for Dedra, where
She's her own undoing. It's
yeah,
so
like
sad.
it's just like like she's fucked it. She's fumbled the bag here. Like seeing like she's stubborn in some ways, where she's like so assured of herself while she's getting told off, and then he goes like, I mean, found all this stuff as well, and she's like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
Like it all comes apart, and like you can see it on her face.
Her acting in that scene is wonderful.
Yeah.
Krennic as well is sassy, just like finger on her head, spinning
The
round.
fear in her face when
Yes.
he does that is like, what?
I love it because that's like, I think that's just implying she's seen what the Empire's fucking done to people. I could see people saying that this was like an unsatisfying way to end her story, but I think that's kind of like the point. In like, she did all this work and she worked really hard for all this, but like at the end of the day, she's just another piece in that fucking machine.
Yeah.
And she did defy orders, and she was her own undoing. Like, oh well.
Yeah, I think I was definitely unsatisfied, but not disappointed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I should feel unsatisfied.
Yeah, it's like this thing of like, oh, we've built up, and we've not, and it was the whole thing of like, I don't feel like I've seen a lot of her this season,
Yeah.
and to have her just like flop so hard.
Yeah. You know what they say, after the hardest slay comes the biggest flop.
Exactly.
The Dedra Mira story.
Is that going to be a film itself? Is it?
Oh, I'd watch that in a heartbeat. Come on now. How's she making her...
We keep talking about, or you keep talking about spin-offs with these characters. That's all good and all, but like in the wrong hands, they'll just ruin the characters.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw a great like idea. Somebody said, do Clea in the new era, the sequel era, being like a spy intelligence show. There was a rumored show called Rangers of the New Republic at one point. A bad name for a show, I would say.
I just thought you were going to say Rangers of the Lost Ark.
Yep. But I think that would be really cool, is to have her, have like a spy thriller intelligence show with her.
Have a little Oscar Isaac cameo.
Yeah. I am I've seen criticisms of people being like, oh, well, this is all for nothing, because then the sequel trilogy undoes all this, and like all of this work that all these like characters had to like line up and domino effect and blah blah blah, it's all for nothing. I couldn't disagree with that sentiment more. I think it just speaks to the larger idea that Tony Gilroy's like, evil will reappear, like it's cyclical, do you know, like
I agree in the sense that like it does feel like that, because it just, in terms of like writing, like there could have been a more interesting thing to explore than just like
yes,
new
thing.
Empire.
Yeah. And I feel like they don't need to fill in blanks all the time.
But also,
I think go on other ends and whatever. But I think something between 6 and 7 that's not Mandalorian Mandoverse
that explains
that is like
in like a realistic
yes,
way. Yeah.
How this came to be.
Yeah.
Because I think it's equally as interesting to be like, this bad government's gone. The good government's here. But they're all fucking bickering and they can't get anything done. Mm-hmm. So new thing rises. I think that's equally interesting.
Or like it's not even their fault. Like the political landscape was so shattered by the previous empire.
Sure, yeah.
That like they couldn't pick up the pieces quickly
Splinter
enough
cells were
before like things came out. Like it's the same story with just like a lot of the stuff that happens in like the Middle East or whatever, where like a bad power can come in when you leave something and
it's a vacuum that's like free for taking. If it's not established quickly, something else can come in. So I'm not one for like do a billion spin-offs or whatever. I would happily have this team do one in between the originals and
I constantly get confused because I sit and forget where Mandalorian is. Oh, because I think it just shocks me that we are filling in like that point in time,
like 6 and 7.
Yeah, and it's maybe because they're like, even though there is a couple shows in there, they're all like one thing.
Yeah, it's all Mandoverse.
Yeah.
So,
should we talk about
the final?
Are we done talking about episode 2? I guess it was like quite straightforward. We got like a couple of setups.
Yeah, how'd you feel about K2SO?
What is inclusion? Right. I think I do have issues with the finale, in the sense that like I still liked the finale and things, and I think I was whiplashed because we had such like a season with like high explosive peaks, and this to me felt like Andor season 1 more, I think. So I got like whiplashed back to that, which is like a much like quieter show, which I don't have problems with. I just felt like whiplashed by it and was surprised by it, to be honest. Not so much for like the final episode specifically, but like those other 2 episodes being just kind of the same quietness. Even that first one, which is the one that has the most like
meat.
Yeah. I think it's funny because I think that last episode meanders a bit at the start, because it's the whole aside from the getting Clea back with K2SO. I'm getting around to the K2SO question. So I think it like has that action bit, and then it meanders because it's like the whole politics of like trying to convince everyone that Luthen was telling the truth.
Yeah.
And then it's just like rushed right at the end. It feels to me, where, and I think we talked about this yesterday, where like it's not like a super satisfying conclusion, because it kind of like Rogue One becomes like the finale to like those 2 seasons of that show. It's almost like the 3rd season is just Rogue One itself. But I did feel like it was like trying to just like pull threads together in the correct way where they weren't connecting, so that they lead into Rogue One, and that was my feeling about K2SO. I really enjoyed K2SO in this last part, but it did feel like they were having to drag him in to do the Rogue One thing.
Yeah.
And it was the same with like Bix having to go away. I still think it was really well written, but it's just funny how as you get closer to the Rogue One time period, you have to bring in all these and kind of like almost wrestle some of these plot points to get them into a certain point. It was the montage I liked, but also didn't like. I just thought it was funny for this show to do that.
Yep.
At the end, also, I think I was just not following it at the end, and I'm not sure if I was just tired or what. They mentioned a couple of names, and then he went on a mission, and I wasn't sure what he was leaving to do, and I just couldn't be bothered rewinding it to see where he was going.
It's do you remember Rogue One well enough?
Not particularly. I saw the start of one of your TikToks, and you were like, "Oh, he's going on the mission, the Rogue One mission."
Yeah.
So he's going to look for Kanan Erso, presumably.
No. The start of Rogue One, he goes to the Belt of Cassine, and he says that's where he's going because he's going to meet an informant who was with Saw, who has information on Galen Erso. If you remember, we see him in like a market kind of street with this guy who's broken his arm, and he's like, tells him about Galen, and they shoots a stormtrooper, and then the guy's like, I can't, like, he was like, we're gonna climb, and he's like, I can't climb, I broke my arm, and Cassian then kills that guy, and then leaves. It is because Cassian then has the information that is like confirming everything that we've just learned in this last episode,
right?
For him to then go on the mission.
Cool. So like, I wasn't clear on like where he was going at the end there.
Right.
It was just the emotion of that scene that was clear to me, which was like, they're now at the end game.
Yeah.
Of that's where he's going. I'd loved the I did love the moment with him and like the psychic woman.
Yep.
The Force user woman.
I think it was the best moment in that episode.
Yeah, just that confirmation of like, it's like, in my mind, she was like, there's a place that he has to go or whatever for this to be successful. I think there was probably like multiple paths of like destiny or fate that he could have gone down, and this was the point where it was like he was cemented in what would confirm that the rebellion would win.
Very much Doctor Strange looking at Tony, kind of
sort of like that.
Yeah.
God, what else happened in this episode? Yeah, I think the political meandering in like that middle-ish bit of the episode I wasn't too fond of.
Interestingly, to start back at the start, I really enjoyed that action sequence.
Yeah, and I think it was inevitably where it was going to go.
Yes. I mean, it was like, oh no, there's nowhere they can go. I wonder who's going to save them. I mean, but I actually thought it was very cool to see K2, because we see how powerful they are in episode 8. It was very cool to be like, oh fuck, he's going to be able to fuck up all of them like so easily.
Sorry, on that point, I remember thinking in episode 8, like, oh, this is like a horror now.
Yeah.
Seeing people get flung on the walls and things. And then as soon as it was interesting, like, psychological thing. As soon as it was on the other end, I was like, fucking let's go, K2SO.
Yeah.
So.
Because they become like stormtroopers, not people.
Yeah.
The one thing that was horrifying though is when he picks up ISB agent guy and uses him as a like robot shield.
That was horror. Yeah. That was the guy. That's the guy. I can't remember his name.
I don't know.
That we're following.
Yeah, the guy.
The date man.
The date man.
Date
yeah,
man.
the lunchtime date man. That was him. Yeah. He got killed. I did think it was interesting. There was a level of tension though there where like they get like blasted by that like concussion bomb or whatever. That I thought was interesting. Yeah, then I actually did enjoy this middle section. I think because at that point I was like, I know what this finale is now. It is this like quieter moment. I kind of view the show as a finale to Andor, which I think probably happens more episode. I think getting Clea off is like the finale to Andor. I think it's then an epilogue to Andor, which is this like political bit.
I think this was very epilogue-y at the end here. Yeah.
And then the last little bit being like set up into Rogue One, which I just think it helps to view Rogue One as a finale to the show. Because it makes so much sense. Because weirdly, with the structure of season 2, starting Rogue One, I watched it like after this, and getting like this, oh, we're learning about Jin all of a sudden. It doesn't feel out of place because the structure of the show is we're weirdly following this character now for a while. Like, so you're just like, okay, I'm learning about Jin.
That's really cool.
For a little bit.
Yeah.
And then Cassian comes in and it's like it's just the show again. And obviously the things that Cassian's saying now that you're like, oh, I get that a bit more. It is beyond me that people watched this and went, he needs more. Because in the movie, he's just not super compelling.
Yeah.
Fuck me, though. They have done such a good job. I'm not going to... I know you've seen it.
Yeah, it'd be nice to not... It'd
but
be nice
I'm
to
not going to spoil...
Yeah, because it's been like 10 years now, so...
The
almost.
ending. There is... I remember the ending. I don't remember
yeah.
I don't remember all the words and stuff
Me
exchanged. Either. I think they add even more meaning to that Force sensitive person.
Yeah.
Because I was sitting at the end like, fuck. And I told you, I'm now of the camp that I'm like debating whether or not the Vader scene should be in that movie. Mm-hmm. Because there's a moment that Cassian and Jin have and the words that they exchange and how that kind of relates back to the show and then getting blown up. I just was like, that is a perfect ending to this show. And then you have the Vader scene, and I'm not going to complain about that scene. It's a great scene, but like it weirdly, as a conclusion to Andor, that doesn't feel like a conclusion to Andor. That feels like the prologue to A New Hope.
What I will say is, to be fair, not having watched the film, so I don't really have strong opinions about if it should be there or not now.
Yeah,
I guess it does continue the theme of like they're all small parts in the rebellion, and it keeps moving forward,
passing the message. Yeah, totally.
And I do like how it builds like. there was part of me watching season 2 that was like, it'd be so cool to see like something massive from like the original trilogy in here, like Vader. But I was like, that would so undercut like the show itself, because it isn't that. But also like Rogue One, where you do get Vader.
Yeah.
So it is like a nice like icing on the cake at the top, I think.
Yeah, okay.
It's an epic scene.
Whoa!
Top 5 epic moments in Star Wars.
Probably.
Yeah, it could be.
Oh god, no, I can't think of that. Now my brain's like, what are the other moments?
For God's sake.
I'm not going to do that. The political infighting stuff I found interesting, because I was like, they are trying so hard to manage this in the correct way because they know how important it is, and it's still that like kind of mirroring the first arc of the season, the infighting. It's still there, and I think without Mon Mothma, it devolves into that. She feels like this. I mean, even
everyone
the way
like,
that she's dressed,
her, I think.
like this purity, this like, there's a reason that she was needed. And although she's not in this arc much, I think even the small moments that she had really like humanized the rebellion and also showed why she was needed. I think especially the moment that she has with Vel, where she's like, I need you to speak to him.
That's where like my issues come in, where it's like I never found it uninteresting, but it was like there had to be like this back and forth that I guess maybe I just didn't have the energy for by the time we reached the end.
It's also not what you expect from a finale of a TV show.
True.
So I wonder if, like, even if you went back and was like, oh, I know what I'm going to watch.
Yeah, maybe I'd enjoy it more.
Yeah. But I thought that was really interesting, especially when they have that small council and they're all like, no, this is what I think, this is what I think. Luthen was a liar. All of that, like, kind of like playing into the, you're only here because of him. And none of you want to, like, come to terms with that. Fascinating to me. And the only people at that table that know are Mon Mothma and Andor. And Andor feels like he is not listened to, and he's like there's like a Luthen surrogate. Like he has to do the dirty work in air quotes within the rebellion, and Mon Mothma's there to like try and like bring a level of cohesion.
I love how she's so well respected in there that when Andor goes, when he's like, when was the last time you saw Luthen or spoke to him? It was like a year ago when I brought Mon Mothma back.
Yeah.
And then everyone's like,
silence. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, great moment. All the stuff in there was great. I don't know if I just felt like it was too much or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I'm trying. Oh, the one other thing was Clea. Really interesting moment when she like wakes up in the med bay and she kind of just wanders into the forest. I did wonder if that was her going to like off herself.
I never thought that for a second.
Really?
Yeah. You thought she was gonna like pull the trigger in the forest.
I thought I literally thought when she was there and she was like welling up and like feeling like really uncomfortable, you could see it in her face. I just thought she was like, I don't belong here, and she was just gonna wander off.
I think it was clear that she was very lost.
Yeah. But also like, she's aware of what people think of Luthen and by extension her and the methods that they've used. She's now in the place, and like I like the thing that Andor says to her, like, you need to see the thing that you've built. Like, you've built. This doesn't exist without you. But still, her not feeling welcome there and her knowing that, I think says a lot about her, like, self-awareness as a character, but just really enjoyed that moment.
What's most interesting about this show is that it shows you how important, it makes characters very important to the rebellion and the sort of like timeline of stuff that we have. Like none of it would have happened without them being powerful. Like none of them are powerful.
Yeah.
It's all purely based on the decisions that they've made.
In a weird way, it doesn't undercut it, but I'm gonna say it undercuts it, but it doesn't. The final moments of A New Hope feel like so like I would be annoyed if I was like Clea and I'd worked all that like so difficult for that, and then the guy who shoots the fucking thing with the special powers gets a medal, and you're back there, you're like, I killed my friends, I lost my father figure, I survived wars.
I mean, I guess that's how it works in reality.
But that's what I was gonna say. I think it is just mirroring reality, and it's the same sort of thing of like why Andor's needed why Mon Mothma's needed. I do think she plays a larger role than this, but like as a Mockingjay kind of figure.
Did you see? I saw a TikTok talking about Mon Mothma making a comment about the Death Star.
No.
So there's a point. In Return of the
many
Jedi.
Bothans died for this information. Yeah.
Which means that there's a whole other story about how other people got the information. For the second Death Star.
And give me it. I think I'm a big fan of all things Star Wars. I think all this, there's room for all of it. This is where I think it shines, and I would like more of it.
Yeah, me too.
I think you have such a politically dense, interesting universe.
I also really like lightsabers, so like more lightsabers as well, please.
Well, we could, yeah.
Renew the Acolyte. I said it. Only because of the cliffhanger.
And I want to see more of that. That scene, I don't know any of those names to make the joke that I want to make.
Yeah. The guy from The Good Place.
The guy from The Good Place. Yeah. Thoughts on the season overall?
Excellent.
Yeah.
I do...
Okay.
I did see clips from season 1 and I was like, did I like season 1 more or did I like season 2 more?
Really?
Yeah.
Gosh.
So now I need to go and...
rewatch them both.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is firmly ahead. I have this rated at 5 out of 5.
Fair enough. Are they not both 5 out of 5?
No.
What's your problem with season 1?
I couldn't quite tell you off the top of my head.
Can I ask you about the fact that they just dropped the sister storyline?
I don't think they did.
Okay, go
on. I think... Now, he's confirmed that this isn't true.
Alright.
So, I think Clea is meant to be a spiritual sister to Andor. In how they, like, basically lose everything and give everything up for the rebellion in the hopes to, like...
Alright, I mean, in reality...
Okay. Well, there was theories that she was his sister in reality, but he confirmed that's not true.
I see.
Oh, we didn't talk about that. Sorry. Completely glossed over. I spoke about the middle section. The ending, the montage. Great moment with the Force person. I agree. It's the one thing that I was like, why are we montaging all these characters? Some of it was fine. Some of it I was like, no. Mon Mothma's husband, who's just like drinking and with like an escort.
Oh,
why?
Why?
Fair enough if you do it with like everybody on Yavin.
One of the longest held
parts
of the montage.
Yep. Did not need it. I did think I just thought it was odd. I don't know how else they were gonna end it. I honestly think you could have done without the montage. Just had Andor walking, seeing the Force Lady going, and that'd be it.
Yep.
I wonder if they put the montage in there to make the final scene work better. I don't know. But also, like, without the montage, do you go, this show didn't wrap up? Or all these characters? It didn't bug me, but I was like, weird. Music is so good in that scene, though, that I was kind of like, ah. Then we get the final shot. And I see the little robot that we spoke about that I was like, oh, he's just abandoned.
I couldn't believe that after you mentioning that.
I was like, oh, no way.
I was like, they've thought of everything. Yeah. They've thought of everything.
I honestly thought, because it was part of that larger montage, we were montaging to the robot. And I was like, oh, he made a friend. And then we kept pushing in. I was like, oh, are we going to see the other family that he hung around with? No, we're going to push him more. There's somebody in the field. I was shocked that it was her. And then when I saw the baby, that got me. I was like, oh, fuck. And the music swelling. You know what's going to happen. Yeah, I was
what
like...
I hate is, like, that scene is there to make you feel that.
Yeah.
And, like, to think about the people that are, like, left behind. Or, like the people's lives are affected, basically. Yeah. And a bunch of people are like, there's going to be a spin-off with the baby.
Okay.
People think it's set up.
People think like it's purposely set up?
Yeah, people think that like that's there for...
No.
I was like, it's not the fucking kid with the broom at the end of The Last Jedi. Like, that's an obvious setup for something. This is like integral to like the show.
Yeah. it completes the story of Andor.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yep.
People
crazy.
However, in saying that, if they want to do a spin-off and like, they don't need to.
I don't need to see what happens.
No.
To Bix.
But like, if somehow when like the next empire rises and he discovers about his father or something, there's interesting avenues they could take it. But
I'm so worried about them doing that. I'd rather see the.
I saw people saying it's Poe. And
if anything, I'd rather see Clea. Of
absolutely.
All of them. Other than Dedra.
What? Oh, we also didn't speak about Dedra. Ah.
Oh yeah, that was the part where like I actually like it like hurt me a little bit, where she's like just really upset in the prison.
Yeah.
I was like, how am I feeling for? Oh, that is the same prison.
Yeah. Awful. Also, I just want to say, because I mentioned it, that isn't Poe Dameron.
Awesome.
He has parents in the books, but I don't want people to think
In the books? You've read the books for Poe Dameron?
No. I've read a comment of somebody who's read the books.
Okay.
It's like, that's not Poe. Yeah. Dedra, is there somebody else?
Cyril's dead, mate.
Oh, Mon Mothma. Give me Mon Mothma.
Yeah.
I think it'd be more interesting if they do what I said in between like 6 and 7, and she's a part of that show.
Oh my, cause she was probably on Coruscant when I got fucking blasted.
Why would she be on Coruscant?
Sorry, let me go over that again. Part of the sequels, the first one,
yeah,
was them going like them killing the prequels in one way. So they blow up a couple of planets. And
yeah.
One of them is Coruscant.
Yeah.
So when
I don't think she'd be there.
Why not? She's trying to bring bring
my
democracy
God.
back.
I don't need that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like she's like the kind of character who would be fighting for democracy till like her dying day. She's like the Bernie Sanders of
oh my God.
of Star Wars. So like whatever age regardless of what age she is, she's probably, unless she decided to finally retire, she's on Coruscant.
I've decided in my head canon that they set up Parliament elsewhere.
Or that she was on a visit to try and make negotiations
Yeah.
happen on another planet.
Yeah. To Jakku.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We done?
I think so. Unless you have anything else to say.
I don't think so.
Lovely.
What a show.
What a show.
Top 5 shows. Probably.
That you've ever seen? Or
Probably, yeah.
really?
Has to be. To have something be that good all the way through, and it's only 2 seasons as well, and it knew what I wanted to be.
I need to rewatch season 1.
Season 1's good.
I know it's good, but I don't have it as like I wasn't.
I liked it, which makes me interested in like why it's probably just like the nostalgia already of like seeing clips and edits and being like, oh, season 1 was really good.
Yeah.
But I do actually no. I must have. Season 2 must be better because season 1 I finished and I was like, that was good, but this one the whole way through it being like,
yeah,
rebellion,
save the rebellion, save the dream. I think it's top 10 maybe. I don't know. It doesn't crack my personal top 5.
Damn. What do you know? What's in your top 5?
Yeah, I'm not exposing myself like that.
Really? Does that mean there's something that shouldn't be in there?
Probably. My top show is Succession. Then I would say Westworld. Don't at me. Westworld is great. I do not think a season of TV has been more competent than that first season.
The first season. I agree. I also wouldn't have Succession in my top 5.
You're wrong. You haven't finished Succession.
No, I've seen 2 seasons.
You're
2 and like a
You're
half
absolutely
seasons.
wrong. Parks and Recreation.
So opinions can be wrong.
Yes. Euphoria, which is the one that I think I get slacked.
Yeah, that's
for.
shocking. I'm also shocked at Parks and Recreation as well.
It's an absolute. You've not seen it?
Seen it, but I'm just shocked.
Phenomenal.
I'm just shocked that. Right, that's how I met your mother up there, and people would be like, "What the fuck's wrong?"
Parks and Recreation has one of the best endings to a show ever. The entire last season is an ending, and a show has not wrapped up as well as Succession and Parks and Rec, I think, are like the best endings to TV shows. Euphoria I just have weird personal attachments to. I'm not a drug addict. But I feel seen by some characters, and I'm gonna stop talking. Mr. Robot.
Oh, I'd absolutely have Mr. Robot up there. How can I not? You also like know I'd have Doctor Who in there, which is ridiculous.
Yeah,
but like the personal attachment to that show is, you know.
Yeah.
Because that show will never stop. You will have so much shit in there that you like. But then I don't think a show's worth comes from how successful every part of it is.
Period.
So I said I think people think that's stupid. I don't think that's stupid. I think that's absolutely fine. But other people would be like, motherfucker. Because if it's not perfect, then it's not worth anything nowadays. Society.
We're going to be selling merch with that on.
Let's move on to the question.
Wow.
This is a scenario based question.
Oh, have we had one of these before?
I think we've had like, if this were you, I think we have sort of.
Okay.
But this one is like, anyway, you've been invited to an award show after party.
Who?
As esteemed special guests. Everyone attending wants to sit at your table to chat with the hosts of Plot to Go.
Of course.
And try and secure... I don't like this question already. You'll love it. Try and secure a place on a podcast episode. Okay, that's not where I thought this was going. You've been sat at a table that seats 6. That'll be including us.
Okay.
I'd assume.
Uh-huh.
Which celebrities, dead or alive, would you have sit at the heads of the table next to you and opposite you? Never mind. That's not including us, I guess. You may both sit at the same table or on different tables to increase the number of celebrities that you meet. So we have to sit at different tables.
No, I think it is more interesting if we try sit together.
Alright.
Because then we have to try agree on who we'd want there. So wait, what is it? It's just to get them basically on an episode.
They're trying to secure a place on a podcast episode.
Okay. Do they all have to be on the same podcast episode?
No, I'd assume they're separate ones.
Separate, okay. Do you have
My brain went straight to David Tennant.
I'll have David Tennant.
You'll like allow it because
I'll allow.
Yeah.
I want Pedro Pascal.
Why?
Cool.
Alright.
He seems like the best human being.
Yeah, I think he'd be cool to just sit and have a conversation with.
Yeah. I think he seems fun as well. Oh, I have to think, this isn't dinner party. This isn't like, this is a podcast. This is conversational.
Well, we're meeting them here, but then we'll maybe establish a relationship with them. Then we'll have them on the podcast and they can hang out.
So we'll establish a relationship with Pedro Pascal. We'll be in a throuple with Pedro Pascal.
A relationship, like a friendship check?
What are they?
Fuck's sake.
I would have Nolan.
Oh, absolutely.
I think he'd be really interesting to speak to.
Yeah, Nolan, because regardless of if you like enjoy Nolan's or like you're pretentious and you hate like no or whatever,
yeah,
or like you barely know who he is or whatever, like he is someone that loves film so much.
Yes.
Then would you have Tom Cruise at the table as well? Then?
No, I'm okay.
You steer clear of Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Love you, Tom, but sorry. Oh, I would like Greta Gerwig.
Yeah. So you have. I think if we have these two directors, we should move on from directors then. Because I think like Nolan, you have someone that's well established who loves cinema,
yeah,
and someone who's who's had 3 really good films and is still up and coming.
Yeah, also she's been an actress.
That's true
donkeys.
too. Yeah,
her husband's Noah Baumbach. I think her life is a lot of film. Also, if you've just heard her speak in any interviews and stuff, I think she also seems fun. So there's that.
Florence Pugh.
I don't
even know if I think it's just like a fun person for the same boat as Pedro.
See, but Pedro's had like a really long career.
Yeah, Florence
and he's worked with like
I know.
Hey, if it was dinner party, Florence is coming and she's cooking. Because she's a great cook, not...
Wow. Misogynist.
No.
So we're giving Florence the boot then?
I don't think Florence is getting in the door, I'm so sorry.
Alright.
Because I was going to say Zendaya.
And so was... I actually had Zendaya in mind as well. But again, I don't think she's had enough of a career to...
Well, I mean, we could ask her about the Disney Channel days. Don't forget to smile.
Fuck, who are the last two people going to be? Wait.
I don't know.
It's a
Honestly,
award show after party. Why are we at a table in an after party?
Hey, you can take up this scenario semantics with the question asked.
Yeah. God, they don't even have to be like... They're just celebrities.
Yeah, but you want people that would like have conversations about film.
Yeah, but they don't necessarily need to be in the film realm.
Yeah.
I'd love to have like Stephen Fry at the table.
No thanks.
No?
No.
Not a fan of Stephen Fry?
Not a fan.
I think he's such an interesting person.
Same.
And also is like in that world too.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
You're gonna veto Stephen Fry as well.
Sorry.
Damn, I feel like I should have been more strict.
My brain's just going to like celebrities, which is like bad.
Yeah, because they're not gonna have...
Like, oh yeah, I'd love to have Catherine Hahn, but like, I don't know if she's... You said you only wanted 2 directors.
Yeah, because I feel like we could like...
Who else do we have?
Split up. We have David Tennant and Pedro Pascal, so 2 actors.
Yeah.
We have 2 directors.
Kevin Feige.
No.
Oh, I think he'd just be really interesting. No?
It's like purely superhero talk, I feel like.
Oh, maybe he doesn't
Oh,
fit.
no, sorry. We're
But
trying
it's
to do it on
individual
podcast.
episodes.
Sorry, it's
Yeah.
podcast episodes. That would make a good podcast
I think it'd be really interesting.
We're bringing in Kevin Feige.
Yeah. In the same vein, I think James Gunn would be very interesting, but...
Directors actually, for their careers, J.J. Abrams, because he took on Star Trek and Star Wars.
Or James Cameron.
That too.
Yeah, look, we'd have to gas up Avatar.
I also don't think I'd... Is James Cameron a nice man?
I've absolutely no idea.
Have I maybe just have something in my head of him not...
Edgar Wright would be a great conversation.
Sorry, Edgar Wright.
He's
a
big movie
massive
guy.
film fan and music guy, so you'd absolutely love him. Or get Edgar Wright's this last one.
Cool. That means I don't need to delve into like podcasters. Great. That's a good table. Wait, what's the table? David Tennant, Pedro Pascal, Christopher Nolan, Greta Gerwig, Kevin Feige,
let's establish the conversations that we get out of them.
And Edgar Wright. Okay, wait. So the episode with David Tennant's about
It's just
Doctor Who.
And also like
Good Omens.
run through like British TV. It's very like specific, I think.
How's Olivia Colman?
His small stunt into like Hollywood with like a Harry Potter film and whatever. I don't know if he's done other things, but just asking him like how his experience was different from like British TV to like a Hollywood movie.
Yeah.
Pedro Pascal just had a long career, but like
him at the if we just spoke about his career in this decade.
Oh, so like the uptick of like from I don't know what he was doing before Game of Thrones, but like he's had like hit to hit after.
He was like in this. All I know, he was in like a gay drama, he played a gay guy.
I think I'd just like to hear like his thoughts of like the world, as opposed to. Like,
I absolutely. I would like a more political.
Which is why I'm like, I don't know if that's necessarily film podcast.
But I genuinely would like to know about like he's part of Star Wars and Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
He's done and Game of Thrones. He's done so many indies with cool directors and stuff. I mean, this year alone, he has a movie with Ari Aster and with Celine Song. I just think he has a interesting career.
Perhaps a wisdomous man.
Yeah. I'd also just like to meet him.
2 directors that I think would have a lot to say about just film in general.
Yeah.
Kevin Feige.
Superheroes.
We just have a massive superhero one.
And then Edgar Wright.
I read just
everything.
Yeah, an all-rounder.
Yeah.
Did we miss? Oh, that was it.
Yeah.
Annoying because like, see, in terms of just like personalities to have it on podcast, Zendaya and Tom, her name
at the same time.
Could be. Her name's slipping my mind. The girl from The Bear.
Oh, Iowa Beery.
Love her.
Yeah.
Florence Pugh.
I'd love Rachel Sennett.
Fair enough. Andrew Garfield.
Oh, Andrew Garfield would be great.
Yep. None of these people are our table. Love them to be, but you know,
or
criteria.
Or one of us takes the filmy table, the other one takes the like personality table.
You don't want to mix
because we're both on each episode.
Yeah, that's how we're gonna. So
right.
So I'm not gonna sit and figure.
Well, you basically named Zendaya, Florence Pugh, Iowa Beery, Rachel Sennett. Is that all you mentioned? Andrew Garfield,
and that's 5. Yeah. And then I'd move to that table.
Tom, but I don't think
I'd move over to that table.
Oh, you'd go to that table, would you?
Or you'd move to that table.
No, I prefer the intellectual table.
Alright. Well, we're both on the podcast, dude.
One other person?
Shit.
What good personality. Chris Evans. ScarJo. Honestly, I could take ScarJo at my table, now that your seat's gone. I think she's had a fascinating career.
Now that your seat's gone. Now that you fucked off.
Well, you also get an extra seat at your table.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to figure out who I want. I'm trying to think of like someone who's been in cinema for a while, like Sigourney Weaver or something.
Ooh, that'd be a great pick.
Yeah, like someone.
She seems fun as well.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'll go with Sigourney Weaver.
You have another seat.
No, because you didn't.
You want Tom,
and then yeah, Tom.
Okay, so interesting. Well, that was the episode. Thanks for listening to somehow yet an even longer episode. I said to Owen yesterday, this will be an hour and a half. Nearly 3 hours.
Yeah, I told you this was going to be a beefy one, and you were like, no.
It's okay. Next week, we're talking about Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning. It's the final Mission Impossible movie. We're in hype levels.
I am Final Reckoning. This is not going to be the best.
Oh, that was interesting. And then we're going to be talking about Wes Anderson's new movie, The Phoenician Scheme. I'm very excited for Phoenician Scheme. I've heard absolutely nothing about it.
Me too. Not surprised there. And that has me excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Mission Impossible movie is... I'm slightly worried. However, all the reviews are saying the 2 action set pieces are great. That's enough.
That's not all you can ask for.
It's not, but and we'll also be talking about Doctor Who, episode 7.
Your video's probably cut out because this has been 3 hours.
Yep.
Epic.
Your video's probably cut out as well. Anyway, follow us on Spotify and
YouTube
and
Instagram
and
TikTok.
Yay!
Also Apple Music.
Apple Podcasts.
Sorry, that one.
Anywhere you listen.
I feel like that should always be one platform. It kind of annoys me that it's not.
Oh, just Apple.
They own everything.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.